What's going
No,
on,
you're
everyone?
late.
Welcome to the season gaming Bitcast, episode 294. No, you're late. Maybe the audience is late. That's what it was. We've been live for a good 10 minutes. They just
maybe they're just super early.
Blame them.
They do.
Well, that counters what I just said, so that doesn't make any sense.
You guys don't even know.
There's multiple options.
Is just people complaining about the other people being late.
By the way, the strange thing, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. None of us were late. We were just bullshitting, if we're being quite honest. So welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast. Like I said, episode 294. We are all here. We're all ready. And we've got quite a number of games to talk about today, actually. So today we're going to be getting into Hellblade 2, which may end up being the largest divide of an opinion on a game that we've had on this show, on this panel, maybe. We're going to be talking about a lot of Diablo 4. We can't really talk about it yet, but there's a Killer Clowns mention out there. System Shock's out. Paper Mario's out. 33 Immortals beta is out. And then we're going to be talking about the leaks of Doom, the Dark Ages. So we'll touch on that. New Astrobot game, which I'm sure me, Hogue, and I'm sure others are pumped about. We've got the Game of the Year 2024 in the Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree trailer. We've got to mention, of course, and we'll comment on the Bungie lawsuit as well as some Final Shape stuff as well. So let's go ahead and get into it with these fine gentlemen you see in front of you. Mr. Ty Guy, how's the wedding planning coming, my friend?
Wedding planning is great. This week I did engagement photos, which I'm told are supposed to happen much sooner in the process than we did them. But you know,
I've never
when
heard
you
of
get
those in my
engaged.
life. Yeah,
what's that?
never.
You've never done
an
them?
engagement photo.
Yeah, so they're the photos that you use like for the wedding website and to like show people that you got engaged. And there are
Also never heard of a website.
What? you haven't been to a wedding in the last 10 years where they have a wedding website? You know,
Dude, I didn't even get engaged. We just got married.
Oh my God.
Like,
oh my
yeah,
God.
I literally
There's
threw
a
the
season
ring
of
at my
life
wife.
where you have a lot of weddings to go to and be a part of, and there are seasons of life that doesn't happen during.
Yeah.
You're talking to people of an age that did not have websites or the not lists or whatever it is that you're going to talk about next.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, all right. I guess I have nothing to say to you guys because you're all ancient. But normal people have wedding processes and it's complicated. And anyway, Dee and I are both workaholics, so we don't have time for it. And we're doing things a little last minute considering we've been engaged for 2 years. But things are coming together super well. Invites in the mailings. I think you're going to like it. I hope you like it because she went through 3 different designers to get it exactly the way she wanted. Because she's a perfectionist, a psychopath. Don't tell her. Yeah, that was cool. Good times. It's gonna be a very fun event. And of course, we're gonna share all of the wedding insights on this show post wedding. You know,
it's gonna be a post live stream. Yeah, 3 hour capture.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be great. So it'll be fun. And other than that, playing games. So I'll be honest. I'll just set this expectation. Most of the stuff I'm doing right now, I cannot talk about on the show. Like pretty much any of it. We were kind of going down the list before the show, and I was like, yeah, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. So I'm reviewing games and playing them. But this week, I'm just going to be enjoying the Hellblade 2 debate, a game I have not played.
Debate was merely for the title. There's not going to be a debate.
No, it's going to be a debate. There's going to be blood. I'm going to be egging it on as well.
No, Hogue and Dan already fought this morning, so we can't, you got to be careful.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah,
that lover's quarrel. Anyway, McClunky, happy to be here, guys. Thanks.
There you go. Mr. Rodriguez, how we doing, my friend?
I'm going to be honest with you, not great. I did wake up 15 minutes prior to the show. I was up before then, but I passed out and I didn't realize. I literally woke up and I looked at the clock and I was like, blah, 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 blah. That's literally what came out of my mouth. Complete gibberish. I was like, nothing's set up. I've got to go, to the bathroom. I got to do all this other stuff. I got to get my drink. I got to get up. And then, no, man. I'm working myself into this right now.
Okay, you're warming up. You're warming up.
Yeah, warming up.
Tune in for the very special broadcast of Dan just being Kermit the Frog on the next Season Gaming Bitcast.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm good with it.
Nice. Mr. Hogue, how we feeling?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Had some moments in the social media outlets this week.
Yeah, you were just lighting everyone up and getting everyone riled up.
Well, when you're just really not into what you're playing, it doesn't put you in a great mood.
All right. Yeah, so we'll talk about that, of course. I did want to mention, and naturally, we were BSing before the show, and I will not be here next week. I have travel plans. So I think we'll go ahead and decide live. Hopefully, you guys are still good with doing the show next week without me. I can get a guest to kind of hang out and fill my spot. Because then I will not be here the following week either, because the following week is showcase week and I will be in LA for that. So we'll work that out. But
this is our segment called live scheduling.
Live scheduling with the audience.
Dun, 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 dun. We're working. When are you free? Go through your calendars on live. Super entertaining content already.
10 minutes not talking about anything before.
Yeah, we did. We just
Dan, what does your schedule look like? Is your trip next Sunday or the Sunday after? Riveting content.
So stay tuned. The Bitcast will be here in one form or another, of course.
All right, Ains, if you're going to replace yourself, I need them to be bald and say things that you would say. It needs to be like a true replacement, like maybe an impression. Could you hire an impressionist?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
It'd be great. How about I play you next week? I'll put
That's
on a
fine.
bald
You
cap.
have to shave your head though.
I'll put on a bald cap and I'll play you.
That's fine.
It'll be great. And then somebody will have to play me. Hoke?
Let your facial hair grow out a little bit. Bald cap and facial hair.
I can let my facial hair grow up.
I don't even know what day we're talking about here, so I'm just rolling with it, Travis.
Cool.
All right. So audience, Bitcast next week. Enjoy. I don't know what you're gonna get. We'll see. Anyway, let's get to Tide's picks, of course, and fitting the theme.
Time to look at these this morning. So
Dan,
fitting the theme this
like
morning.
You're actually in the game. Like I believe I killed you.
Yeah.
I think all three, me, Hogue, and Dan, the AI did a pretty good job. Travis just looks like the Joker in another realm.
I look like the Joker in the Gotham show. That's basically me, the young one with the creepy face.
You found your perfect casting.
Honestly, I would kill it as the Joker. I've definitely. I've not played this game, but you guys definitely look like, Norse-ish.
I still have a headset, which is important when you're in Norse, Viking land. You have to be able to communicate.
Maybe they're like earplugs to keep the voices out.
Or in.
I don't know. Or in. I don't know if it works to keep them out.
Kind of look like Atreus went bad. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from Travis.
Atreus was always bad.
Yeah, I guess he was always bad.
I'm kind of a Death Stranding character.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You do have that little bit of Troy in you.
What? What did you say to me?
Anyway, what you guys been playing?
As Dan always said, it's everyone's better when they have a little bit of Troy in them.
Yeah.
I thought this was Norse, not Greek. Why are we going Greek with this?
It's the Rodriguez Credo.
As usual, our intro has been spot on this morning. Ty, thank you as always. Appreciate you. Let's get caught up on early member comments and super chats here. Tao kicking us off.
Tao, why do you have to be so early? What's up, Bitcasters? So Foodcast begins unofficial start of summer. Favorite summer themed food. Take care, gents, and game on. No hipster takes, Travis.
Trying to do an intro here, Tal. Don't start with Foodcast before we even get started.
No, you should get Foodcast is great.
It's Memorial Day weekend. It's hot dogs.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to get that specific? Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Dan, I know you want to go into like intimate detail of some specific food.
If I had woken up about 30 or 40 minutes earlier, that would have been true. But instead, I will go with Hogue and say lips and assholes in case in a intestine. That is fine. 100% with Hogue on this one. I love a good hot dog or Italian sausage. We'll go either.
I'll go just the other side of the road, which is burger. A good cheeseburger off the grill
geez.
toasted roll. The right toppings, that's what I'll go with. Now, Travis, go ahead and take us home into somewhere strange. Come on.
No, we're strange. San Francisco, we got a lot of hot dog stands. There's the street carts, with the onions. They're grilling the onions, grilling the hot dogs. Those are really good. Burgers are also great. Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite one, though, I go for a hot link. That's my kind of a summer food, because I like spicy food. So it's a little bit more, bit more spicy. But yeah, a little hot link, great.
Okay.
First thing I think of.
Link. I can take it.
Got it.
Appreciate you. All right. That was actually very quick for Foodcast. Tal, thank you as always. Googleman coming in early. He's on schedule again, gents.
Nice. With the €5, Warhammer is celebrating the Skulls Festival. It's kind of like Stamps, except with skulls. For the collection aspect, that is. Space Marine 2 as co-op.
Yeah.
Yes.
That Space Marine 2 video was super cool. I don't know if it got referenced, Ains.
No, I was gonna talk about it. We can. Space Marine 2 looks fantastic. Coming in September, and they announced 3-player co-op and 6-player PvP as well. Or not 6-player, excuse me, PvP with 6 classes. That's what I meant to say. So it looks fantastic. Yeah.
I want to review this one.
Yeah, we were debating on SG, like who's gonna take it.
For some reason, they make me review all the bad Warhammer games. Like anytime there's one that doesn't look good, they're like, make Travis review it.
There are a lot of Warhammer games.
Yeah, there are.
They're very free with the license.
Yeah. Anytime there's one that's made by like a studio you've never heard of that looks like it wasn't maybe not going to be that good, I'll review it. And then anytime there's something like Rogue Trader or like one of the ones that's like actually good, then somebody else reviews it, and I'm like, why do I keep getting the bad ones? But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it looks great. It comes out September 9th, if I recall. I think there's Travis's favorite 4-day early access, I believe. So I think September 5th, if you pre-order, I believe. Someone can check me on that.
Dan will still be deep in his college dynasty.
Yes, he will.
I will take a break for Warhammer.
For Space Marine. Okay. All right.
Cool. My family.
Cool, man. Thank you very much. We've got some gifted memberships here. Debbie W with the 5-season gaming memberships. Debbie W always supportive. Thank you so much, Debbie. Really appreciate you. Followed almost immediately by Vintage Willow. T-Dubs. Willow, always generous as well. You two rock. Thank you so much. And Vintage also did that on Hoag's side of the house as well. So another 10 memberships from Willow. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Tao.
No, man, I'm looking somewhere else, dude. I'm not even joking.
I'm down.
Always blame Ains for the tardiness, even though it took me about 3 seconds to say that. Thank you.
Excuse me. That says ALNS. I don't know who that is. Alms, but
it's capital I.
Yeah, that's fair. Tao, it's not my fault. You can.
I thought we were just replacing Ains with an AI. I thought that was an AI joke.
Dude, that's what we can do next week. We'll just insert Copilot for me, and he can host
AI.
the show. Perfect. Yeah. AI.
If somebody can figure out how to do that, let me know. Because AI Dan should be a hoot.
I need to trademark that somehow. AI.
It's a pretty rare name, huh? I only knew one Ains aside from you, and it was a woman. So
that's usually
I've only met 2 Ainsleys in my life, and they've both been women.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a popular girl's name now, which is lovely. It's what you want.
I don't think anybody would confuse you, though. I guess that's a good thing.
Silken, I just want to highlight this comment. He said, left the comment, but I want to reiterate thanks to Mo for his article for Season Gaming. Absolutely. Great shout out. Love to see the views that got too. It's great. Glyphir
with the $2. Dan is the GOAT. This is the best super chat ever. Just beat Yakuza Infinite Wealth. Much love, guys. Nice. Thank you, man. And he just subscribed as well.
He just subscribed, and he said that love your show, just subscribed. Thank you, Glyphir.
Glyphir Infinite Wealth was my palate cleanser when I was getting too depressed about games playing Hellblade.
Nice.
Wow.
Dan, when he says that you're the GOAT, he's talking about your eating habits.
That's fine.
He's referring you to.
I'll take anything, really.
An actual GOAT. Yeah.
That's fine. Good enough.
And Alex, of course, hanging out with us.
Hey, Alex, 7 months here for the spice. Hellblade 2 is the greatest launch era tech graphics demo of this console generation. Discuss. Yikes.
Alex, why are you the way you are, huh?
Yeah, great question. Great
That's
question.
fantastic.
By the way, someone tell Alex he loves to just throw spoilers everywhere. We joke with him about it, so we're getting him off that train. So
He's one of those
shout out
guys.
to Alex.
I
Good
promise
dude
you
over
no
there.
Hellblade 2
It's what
spoiler.
I fear. Okay, I got you.
Yes, yeah, that's another thing. So discussing it, we'll be careful of spoilers, of course.
There's very little to spoil, I assure you, but we will not spoil anything.
Oh man.
Hey, I plan on playing that game tomorrow. So if I get spoiled
Nice.
on the show, I'm going to be quite cross with you all.
Oh, okay.
That was my most threatening voice, by the way.
I believe it.
Yeah. My threatening voice is somehow also like a call center customer service appropriate, because it sounds like I'm being.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty
you know,
much.
if you start it, Travis, when we start the discussion, you might be able to finish it before we're done. So
I do hear it's short,
wanna-
which is not a negative in my book. So I will say
It's
that.
not that short, honestly. I think some
It's
of
not
the
that short.
short descriptions are
It's
a little
crazy.
bit aggressive. I would have it as 8 to 10.
8 to
Correct.
10
That's what I
hours.
was thinking.
Interesting.
It's about 8
Okay.
hours, yeah. And if you're playing normally, it's about 8 hours. Yes.
Yes.
You know
The
me.
people
guys.
saying 5 hours as usual are just being hyperbolic.
5
Yeah,
hours.
five
I'll
five
get through it
seems
in
to
5
be
hours.
very aggressive.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, then we'll get
Whoa.
into.
What the
We'll get.
Jesus?
I don't even want to put that super chat. We'll come back to that. I don't even want to put that on the screen.
Super chat. What the
What the hell?
dude?
Thanks,
Okay,
Mike.
hold on. That just threw
Made
me
my
off here. Okay.
That's so-
I'm dying.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not putting that on the screen.
I know.
I'm not doing that. Like, why would you super chat that? I'm sorry. That threw us completely off. Audio listeners, Hoag's side of the house. We just got a super chat that yeah, we can't do that.
God damn it. Well, who is this person?
Thank you. So whoever just banned them. Appreciate
Oh
you.
my god.
Yeah, we're not doing that. What the sorry,
hell
guys.
is
We
wrong
just
with
we just got a type of super chat and a type of comment even that we don't get around the Season Gaming place. So I don't know who that was or where that came from, but
Imagine.
Crab.
I'm just laughing because I'm imagining a world where you put that on the screen. You go, Travis, could you answer this question real quick? And I'm like, wait, what?
and you just paid to do it.
Yeah,
Like, what
you
the
guys
hell?
You guys want me to get that guy's just trying to get me canceled. Like,
He's
nice
trying to
try.
get-
Nice
Yeah.
try. Not this time, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdos.
It's
was
very
hoping you
funny.
would.
I think I get him on my channel a little bit more than you guys do here. And I had my brother on one of my episodes, and he started reading out a super chat. I said, no, Tom, you gotta go through them first. You can't just
You got to
be
read them.
mechanical.
Yeah. You don't read them without screening for that reason. Sorry, everyone. Okay, back to the show here.
I'm dead.
All right, so yeah, we'll jump into Hellblade 2. So pace yourself, Hope. Pace yourself. So for those who may be uninitiated here, so I reviewed Hellblade 2. Really enjoyed it. I'll talk about my thoughts here. And then if you didn't know, Hogue very, very much dislikes Hellblade 2. So we have a big gap here. So I'll say my thoughts. I know I think Dan leans more towards Hogue's point of view
Probably
on
but I'm
Hellblade 2.
Also not, I don't actively hate it. So that's nice.
So anyway, reviewed it. Yes, as we just said, it's not a 5-hour game. I think you could probably do it in 5 hours if you're literally just running point to point. But it's more about I'd say about an 8-ish hour game. It is so a couple things I wrote about. It is it's definitely a tech demo in the sense of I wrote in my review, this is Unreal Engine 5's coming out party. This is what is possible with utilizing all of the kind of more modern features of Unreal 5 on PC at max settings. It is absolutely staggering what they've accomplished with both graphical fidelity and audio work as well. Series X is still
can I ask a question on this point? Graphics. Were you playing on PC?
I played both. I played all three. I actually played PC, Series X, and Series S.
Oh, okay. I was just curious about that because
Yeah,
one
so
aspect of this conversation to me is that I think the graphics are very good, but they did not blow me away. They weren't this kind of Nirvana-esque experience for me. I thought that they were mostly the same kind of thing that I had expected from a nice looking photogrammetry type game where it's an environment that you expect it to look like, and the characters are fancier than they used to be, but not. If you're going to have something that's amazing, you can have what is this gameplay, which is holding up on the controller for the most part.
Okay, so you're jumping. So
you're right, but I wanted to correlate this because I think one of the things that's happening in this space is that people are looking at Hellblade 2 as just this amazing graphical achievement.
Because it is.
I think it's slightly better than the games that we had before, but I don't see it as this huge leap up above Cyberpunk or Final Fantasy 16 or other games that I enjoyed more.
Okay. So I'll say this. It is, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it generational, right? But when you take into account what they're going for here in the realism sense, especially from a lighting and kind of textural quality, right, of both the environment and the characters and that level of detail combined with the animation. One of the things I wrote about, right, is that every single animation in the game was mocapped, every single one. So when you combine those two things together, right, you get a kind of realistic look of what's happening on screen that has not been achieved before. Sure, I would agree with you. Cyberpunk is, especially Cyberpunk in max settings with path tracing and everything, is bonkers, right? But it's a different look. You know what I mean? Like Cyberpunk's a very different look from what Hellblade's going for. Right.
And I've said in this space before, right, not to just talk about Hellblade, that I think going for photorealism is the wrong direction anyway, that there's all these resources aimed at essentially making something look like it was filmed, which is fine, but I'm not that impressed by, look, this looks like The Northman, because you can just go watch The Northman. So I look at this as essentially very impressive technically, showing wet rocks and sunrises that are impressive, but not worth attending the party for alone.
Okay. So, all right, patient. Like I said, we're jumping here. So you asked about graphics. So we're talking now. You're to gameplay experience versus presentation, right? So I think that it depends. My argument on Hellblade 2 is two things really. One, I look at what they're going for, and obviously, I think we all know gameplay and graphics do not have to correlate, right? Some of the best playing games of all time have terrible graphics. I mean, that's not a surprising point to anyone, especially on this show or our audience. But I think that what Ninja Theory was going for here, right, from an experience standpoint, I don't think anybody is arguing that Hellblade 2 is a fantastic gameplay experience. That's not what it's going for, right? That's not what they tried to achieve, and they didn't, because it's not, right?
They did not achieve a fantastic gameplay experience. No,
but I think what they are going for, right, is more of a what I would call a journey, right? And this is not new to gaming. We've seen these types of games for decades, right? If you think of like the Mists of the world, right? Remember Myst from the 90s when that first came out? Everyone was blown away at how real that looked back in the day. Gameplay, it's garbage. You're walking around, solving cryptic puzzles. But
I would not say the Myst gameplay was garbage. As a matter of fact, the one thing I would say with respect to Hellblade 1 versus Hellblade 2 is that a lot of people complained about the symbol puzzles in Hellblade 1, and they were mostly stripped back in Hellblade 2 and replaced with nothing, which doesn't make the gameplay better. It just makes it have fewer puzzles at all. But Myst is one of the classic games of all time, Ains, and it's because those puzzles were interesting to engage with.
Yeah, see, I don't think we're going to come together here, because you saying Myst is the greatest game of all time and has great gameplay, and then saying Hellblade has terrible gameplay in one sentence does not correlate. It just doesn't. Those two things are the experience that they were going for. Myst was just one example, right? But there's games like this that have been built for decades, was my point.
No, because I'm gonna advocate later on in this episode for a game called Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and one of the things that it really reminds me of is Myst, and I think Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is a much better game than Hellblade 2, and I'm going to recommend it to everybody in the chat who's going to call me a hater for Hellblade or what have you.
So, all right. So, as I said, pace yourself. So let me finish my thoughts on Hellblade, and then you can go. Okay. So for Hellblade 2, for me, was a fantastic experience that had, forget the tech demo side of it for now, right? So it achieves that. And I was constantly in awe of kind of what was on screen. But beyond that, I thought that, there's a couple things about Hellblade 1, and we were talking about this in chat yesterday, right? So Hellblade 1 was a personal story to Senua, right? Very personal story that goes to some dark places. And again, very cinematic, very kind of new of what it achieved back in 2018. The biggest drawbacks, at least, what we heard constantly about Hellblade, was that the combat wasn't great. It was just the hack and slash, very simple, and that the puzzles got annoying, right? So with Hellblade 2, what I appreciated is they kept the focus on this journey. They created something that, at least to me, and I think this is one of the points where we differ, right? The people who like the game versus the people that don't, is that the emotional side of Hellblade 2 and the themes that it presented struck us, or I can't speak for other people, struck me in a way that was solid. Like, I really kind of vibed with what they were going for the different plots, right? With your companions and the impact of each of those segments on the journey. I also like that the combat, because I didn't enjoy Hellblade 1's combat greatly. Like I said, it was hack and slash. It was very kind of simple. So what I wrote in my review, and you can feel free to disagree, of course, is that instead of, like, some people were hoping for like a deeper combat system, right? Like something where you're actively engaging with. What I wrote was that while I would have liked that, admittedly, if you take what they did with the whole game, right? There's no input prompts, there's no inventory, there's no menus, there's no UI, right? It's just an on-screen experience. If you try to layer in a deeper combat system with that type of experience, it's going to get strange, because everything's going to be very simple and straightforward and linear and thematic, with some weird combat system laid on top. So what they did instead was they made combat part of the cinematic approach, which gameplay wise, there's not much to it. You're parrying, you're dodging, you're hitting buttons, right? But I think cinematically, it's a grander experience than the first game. And I enjoyed the combat more because of it, because it fits with the game more. In Hellblade 1, you're just plodding along, doing your puzzles, and then all of a sudden, like 5 NPCs show up that you have to hack and slash. There's no point to it. Whereas the combat in Hellblade 2 fit within each segment of the story. Do you know what I mean? So I know
what you mean, but I don't even think that what you said is what happened with Hellblade 2. I think it's actually stripped back from Hellblade 1, not just even with Hellblade 1.
Engagement-wise it is. The gameplay-wise it is, yes.
Yeah, so when you're looking at actually playing a game versus watching The Northman or The Green Knight or whatever you want to use as an example here, you are basically playing a Dragon's Lair type combat situation now, which is you hit parry and you'll get a mocapped parry animation. You hit dodge, you get a mocapped dodge animation. I actually think what they did here works pretty well, but it's not engaging at all.
No, I agree with you. It's not any sense of deep gameplay, right? They just basically melded the combat scenarios in with the cinematic nature of the game, like I said. So I think, anyway, for me, I really enjoyed the journey. It struck me pretty strongly in a few spots. Again, I think that's more of a personal thing, which I think is maybe where some of the divide's coming in here. And I kind of enjoyed where Ninja Theory was going. I certainly recognize, I think everyone does, even the people who really enjoy it, because I was talking to some other reviewers about it, right? You're not going to Hellblade 2 for gameplay of the year. It's not your Hades. It's just not that type of game, right? It's a completely different approach to an experience. So
right, it's a narrative-focused game, so you better work with the narrative, and if you don't, you're going to wind up like me and basically hating your life for 6 to 8 hours or whatever time you play Hellblade 2 for.
Yeah, so I'll end with, and then you guys go. But I think that's, like I said, I think that's maybe where some of the divide is in opinion on the game, is whether or not you vibed with the narrative. And clearly you didn't. Clearly some other people didn't as well. Clearly some people did. And I think where that emotionality within the kind of approach they took, whether or not that hits you in any way, is probably going to be a big deciding factor on how much you enjoy this game.
Yeah,
would be
and,
my
and
personal
versus Ains, whose review I have not read because I didn't want to be spoiled on the game, and they came out at the same day because that was what the embargo was set out, right? I haven't read that, Ains. I apologize for
Oh, you're
that.
good.
But
You'll
from my
disagree with it. I'll tell you
perspective,
that much.
from my perspective, this is absolutely a narrative game. The people that come into my tweets or whatever and say, well, you wanted it to be God of War are absolutely wrong. I knew what Hellblade 1 was. I knew what Hellblade 2 was likely to be. But if you're going to be a narrative game, if you're going to be focused on telling me a story, you better focus on telling me a story and not mess that up. And what I think is, like all great unnecessary sequels in the history of medium, right? Whether it's a movie, a television series, a comic book, a video game, what you've got is a struggle to make what was a very effective storyline of the original, the reason it was popular at all, into something grander, bigger, or different in the sequel. And so I think Hellblade 2 struggles mightily with the fact that what the first game was about was essentially acceptance of the situation that Senua was found herself in. And by the way, the fact that they can't pronounce her name the same from two different lines at any given point in the game makes me crazy. Like, what was your acting coach doing? Why is it Senua or Senua, like at 100 different points in the game? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you on that one. I would say, yeah, I think so. I mean, I've said my piece, guys. So Dan, I don't know, Dan, you said that you were a little higher than Hogue, but not high on the game. You were kind of indifferent and didn't really enjoy it too much. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, that's it was a lot of indifference. It was, I don't know, the first one to me, I enjoyed, and I think I've said it before, it was good. I liked how they did the whatever kind of audio they did with the earphones and
Binaural.
Okay, that's fine. And then you know, and it was the best part of that game for me. I mean, obviously, you know, it's not the gameplay. It was kind of, you know, how they presented, you know, what was going on in her head, and it felt kind of not personal to me, but personal to the character. Right. This one to me, I don't know if they needed to do it. I felt like, you know, it's like that old Ian Malcolm, you know, quote from Jurassic Park. I mean, I just don't know, man. it was like, okay, this is all right. It looks great. I think it looks, you know, really pretty.
It does look great. I don't want anybody to think that I'm not acknowledging that it probably is the best looking game of all time. I just don't know that it's super valuable to have this kind of minute addition to the graphics level if you're going to have to strip back what is the game experience so far.
I mean, I guess, I mean, you know, let these studios do whatever they want is my opinion, but it just felt like it just didn't need to happen, I guess. I think we got a really good game in the first Hellblade. I think it was a very unique experience. I don't, you know, the combat is what it is. It wasn't really that much different than the first one to me. And I just, man, I wanted to be more than what it was, and it wasn't. It doesn't feel like there was like some huge jump in like, oh, okay, this is what, you know, this is how much they've improved it. And it's just takes a whole new step towards, you know, whatever they were going for. I mean, if there's a Hellblade 3, I'm just gonna probably call it good, because I think they kind of topped out on the first one for me anyway. But I understand why people enjoy it. I understand why people like it. You know, I get it. But for me, I just wish there was a little bit more to it. It seemed a little bit, I don't know, like pretentious to me. Like not as a game, but like just people that make it. They're just, you know, they had to like show you like, this is, you know, it's not for
There's
any
a lot
other
of lecturing.
reason.
There is.
Yeah, it
I
is.
agree with
It's and I'm just like, you know, I mean, just back off. And it kind of came like when it ended, I was like, all right, that was it, man. You know, that was.
I did say the climax on 2 is worse than 1, right? Like, I think 1 has a better build up. No spoilers here, don't worry.
Yeah.
Better build up at the end in what you go to achieve and accomplish at the end, right? Versus
it
2.
feels
I
much
think
more complete.
Yes,
first one
two felt like I get what they were going for. Like I said, it's almost like there's those 3 specific events, right? But the third ending one just didn't have that same kind of, climax is the best word, I guess, at the end.
No, so I want to talk to one of the people in chat here. Silkenit wants us to talk about Last of Us Part 2 with respect to pretentiousness. And I think that's actually a great segue to talk about Hellblade 2 with, because this to me is the Xbox Last of Us Part 2 type issue, which is to say, one of the things I really rejected in Last of Us Part 2 is this high and mighty pretentious lecturing of things like revenge is bad, right? Like simple things that game designers or writers or narrative people or whoever think is really important and needs to take 40 hours to teach us. And one of the things that's interesting about Hellblade, right? We talked about it being 8 to 10 hours and other people are talking about it being too short. The ideas in this game are so simple that I actually think 8 hours is too long of a running time for things like I'm not my father, or
Watch it.
I have to let go of grief, or things like that, right? And just very simple messages. I'm not going to spoil anything. And that's part of what makes this so difficult to get through, is that everything in the game is this kind of voice of being high and mighty and teaching you or Senwa something. And it's very simple in concept the whole way through, right? It's like elementary school morality or mental health or whatever you want to talk about it with. And then just said like it's this voice of God coming down on you, very much like a Neil Druckmann joint. And I think that that's fine if that's what you like. But The Last of Us Part 2 is one of my least favorite Sony games ever. And this fits right alongside it with this kind of hectoring, lecturing. And whereas the first one, I think, really had a point to talk about, what it would be like to hear voices and you're in medieval times and dealing with all of this supernatural expectations of the people around you and how that would be incorporated into your particular mental health issue. This one, unfortunately, crosses that line that you see so often in media, which makes the mental health issue into a superpower, right? You see this with the autistic shows where everybody's Sherlock Holmes. This has a very similar kind of approach in Hellblade 2, which is very much not what Hellblade 1 presented. And honestly, I was a little bothered by it. And I also think that Hellblade 1 was better thought about as to what was actually happening in reality versus what was in Senwa's mind than Hellblade 2. And while I like certain aspects of what they did in the New Game Plus mode with Hellblade 2 that I don't know if we want to talk about at all or not, so I'm going to let Ains decide on that.
We will. Yeah.
But I like that. It didn't save it from kind of being in this position where we're going to teach you obvious lessons, and we're also going to treat psychosis as a superpower.
Did you just compare Hellblade 2 to The Good Doctor? Did I just hear?
I don't know The Good Doctor, I don't think.
Okay. All right. Maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say what?
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm kind of weird on this one, guys, because I think that my thought would be I didn't take it to be as lectury, I think, as you guys did. I thought, I mean, if I don't, I would say this: I don't see how you can think the second one's like that if the first isn't, right? How I saw it is that the first is a singular story, right, where they're obviously doing the same thing, but really focused in on Senua and what her struggle is with. I think we can talk about the first game now, with losing Dylan, right, and that what that did to her and her mental health and what she's going through. Whereas in Hellblade 2, they just expand that. Again, no spoilers. I'm trying to dance around spoilers here, but in Hellblade 2, they basically expand that, right, where she's now progressed. She's to the next stage of her life, which is the start of the game, right, where she has an active quest, if you will.
Right.
And
one
then
is about
really
acceptance, and 2 is about something else.
Yeah, it's just about like, how she can take that next step and help these others with these grander, like I said, these grander themes that they're dealing with. I don't, to your point, Hogue, it's not like I don't think they're trying to create something incredibly intellectual here. I didn't take it as preachy. I just thought like they're just trying to present the progression of Senua from 1 to 2, where 1 was she's dealing with all this stuff herself. 2 is she's partially come to terms with that. She's dealing with that to a degree, but now she's helping others deal with these grander things. That's how I took it.
Right, which doesn't make a ton of sense for what you know is the environment that she's actually living in from 1 or in 2. And they don't really get around that with the plot points they put in 2. They basically just hand wave it. And if you're following along, you might consider it cheating with some of the stuff that happens in 2 and what you know is happening in Senwa's mind.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I think that this is where the divide lives, right? Because genuinely speaking, there's some gameplay differences between 1 and 2. I don't think they're drastic enough to create a opinion gap that we're seeing with some people between 1 and 2, like yourself. Like the gameplay difference, I don't think is large enough to do that. I think that it's the what they were going for in terms of narrative and kind of themes that's creating that gap. And it sounds like you guys definitely vibed more with Hellblade 1 and what Ninja Theory was doing there than 2. Whereas
and I played Hellblade 1 immediately after my run of Hellblade 2. Again, since it was so long ago, I wanted to check myself on what I was thinking here. And 1 is much stronger in how it presents Senwa and the thought process of the legends of the Northmen and how she's interpreting the world and how the puzzles work based on perception rather on manipulation. And I think that Hellblade 2 walks across that line and just says, oh, no, it's all fine.
Yeah, see, I think 2 is much stronger. I think 2 is a much stronger game overall. I think there's aspects of 1 that are strong. Like I said, the build up at the end, the kind of, I would say, I wouldn't even necessarily disagree that 1 is more focused, I think is a word you used yesterday when we were talking about this. And I think that's
1 is a lot better game.
I didn't say that 2 is a better game, but 1, I could say 1 is more focused. Yeah. So I think there's people that live in both areas. I think that this scored right around the same as the first one or 1 point higher, what have you. It's very similar in terms of like Metacritic. But yeah, I've seen everything, right? And I think that's what's fascinating about Hellblade 2 is I spoke to a bunch of reviewers. So I spoke to John over at Xbox Era and Luke obviously at XEP and Sean at Carpool and a bunch of people while reviewing this game. And it was kind of fascinating to see the difference in opinion. So this game, Eurogamer, IGN gave it an 8, by the way. I gave it a 9. Era gave it a 10. There's Eurogamer gave it a 10. And then there's other sites that gave it, a 5. And it's a huge gap, which is kind of crazy. And I just think it's the type of game it is. It's a very unique type of game. It's not for everyone. And I think that's where you end up like this with very differing opinions of how it hit people.
Well, I thought Hellblade 2 was out and out bad. I thought it was not worth the time that I spent on it, and I would not recommend anybody waste their time on it either.
And I will say the opposite. So there we go. You have your opinion.
And I will say,
whatever. Dan's like, try it if you want to. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, go ahead. Not hurt my feelings.
It really depends on how much extra time you have, I suppose.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of good games that have come out this year alone. So
yeah, I mean, it's what we always say, right? Like, I would never recommend anyone force themselves to play a game. There's too many games. Like, play what you enjoy. If you don't enjoy Hellblade, don't play it. There's no reason to. You know what I mean? So the one other thing I want to comment on, which Hogue touched on, is so when you beat the game, you do unlock the ability to play the game with narrators, which kind of add further context to events in the game. I didn't play the whole game again, but started it, and like I said, I also checked it on Series X and S. So you have that option if you want to kind of further engage with it. I know Alex at SG did play it again with the narrators. He said his actual opinion of the game went up. I think he said he was at a 7 on the game. Now he's at a 7.5, I believe, or 8 with the narrators, because he said it adds some stuff. So you have that option.
It adds some stuff. It's a good idea.
It is cool. Yeah. Especially for a shorter game, right? It's not like you played 100-hour RPG and it's like, play it again with narrators. Like, no, this is a game you could actually get through again with extra context. And then lastly,
let me say some positive things about Hellblade 2, because everybody's always so mad at me on this. I did like a couple of things that they did. I really like the subtitles on the voices. They were much better in 2 than they were in 1, where they were all kind of put together in a paragraph that you had to look at the same time. In this one, they do a cool thing with kind of geographical subtitles where the voices actually get their own half of the screen in a smaller text than the main dialogue. And I use subtitles on this because I do think in this game that the voices talk too much. You have a lot of what I think of as the Aloyification of puzzles and progress, and you have the voices telling you what way to go and what way to not go. And while I think it's too much in 2, the subtitles really split things out into a way that you can perceive the game a little bit better. And I want to give them credit for that, because that would have taken extra effort to figure out how to get those subtitles working that way.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I'll just comment on so yeah, I played on PC at max settings, which I said is absurd. But then Series X I played as well. The big difference is Series X, it still looks really, really strong. Textures are a little bit muddier. That's kind of to be expected. The big thing on Series X, of course, is it is 30 frames, which is, I'm hoping
does it have the letterboxing on PC? I can't imagine it does.
The whole game's built that way. Yes, from the start.
Oh, okay.
It does. Yeah, it was the entire game was built in the letterbox format. What was I going to say? Oh, on PC, it has all of the various ways to enhance the game, right? So I played it with DLSS because I'm NVIDIA 4080, but you can also play with TSR, FSR, and XESS. So I'm hoping that they use FSR on Series X soon to give it a potentially a higher frame rate mode, either the VRR 40 frames or 60 with frame generation. So we'll see.
I didn't find myself missing frames on the Series X, but everything is always better with more frames.
Yeah, it's obviously it's noticeable going from high frame rate to 30, right? But if you're just playing on Series X, it's fine. And then Series S, I played a little bit just to kind of see how it performs. Again, as expected, right? Playing in 1080p, it is Series X feel and look, but with even muddier textures and lower resolution. I mean, that's pretty much it. But it's well optimized on all three. One thing I did say for this launch is I had no hiccups on any of the three. Not a single crash, no bugs, no issues. So that's great.
I had no issues either.
It's good stuff.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean, chat, let us, everyone's kind of opinionated on this one. It's been all over the place, but there's our opinions. I do think I actually enjoy when a new release, more of a major release comes out and we have dissenting opinions, because it creates this kind of dialogue, right? There's just multiple ways to look at these things. So, and we got a lot of comments and super chats while talking. So
good. Bring them in. Tell me how right I am, folks. Join Team Hogue.
Beautiful.
Go on.
Lucius with the $2. Hellblade 2 was an
a good
incredible
start, Hogue.
experience.
It was
I think experience is the right word. And I wrote that. I think I wrote journey. I wrote experience, in my review, because as I said, it's not going for some enlightening gameplay. It's just not. That's not what this is. So, but yeah, I'd agree, Lucius.
No,
Sorry.
what did you do that for?
Yep. Damn it. I went down the list. It's still here.
Well, now I got to answer it.
No. Moving on.
Shoosh. The member comment, Travis, if you were a crab.
I would.
That was in response to the other one, which,
I would steal another crab's treasure, obviously.
Yep. Good
well
job,
played,
Travis.
sir. Well played. Mo.
Big Bad Mo. Another member comment, Hellblade 2 is a masterpiece. I love it. Man, Mo, you know how to really tug at Dan's heartstrings. Ains, do you think we will see a Halo
Certain
at
affinity.
the I don't know
It's
what the hell
California
at
Halo.
the showcase? Yeah. Panel, what do you want to see at the showcase?
What would California Halo look like?
I don't know, but the San
Super
Francisco
insufferable. That's what it
the
would
Golden
be.
Gate Bridge is definitely getting blown up. I don't know for sure.
No, I don't. I do not think we will see any Halo at the showcase, if I'm honest with you. I know there's some bets in the Halo community right now about what we may see here in a couple weeks. My bet is we do not see Halo at all. I wouldn't expect to. So I think that they're going to hold Halo until they're ready to show what's next, which will include what Certain Affinity's been working on. So we'll see. Mo, thank you as always. Glyphir. Am I saying that right? Glyphir? Glyphir?
I think it was Glyphir, maybe? Yeah, because it spelled it out. I'm not good at pronouncing anything anyway. Man.
It's Hellblade 2 is like Rise. Short, simple.
Rise,
like
son
Rise?
of Rome. Short, simple, and beautiful.
All right, thank you, because
Yeah.
my brain is not functioning at that high of a level ever, really, especially not this morning.
It's definitely beautiful.
One thing I liked about Rise, I like the combat model in Rise. So I was thinking, this actually came to mind while playing Hellblade 2 and reviewing it. Is my mind went to, if they implemented the combat system from Rise, I think it would be more enjoyable from a gameplay perspective in Hellblade 2. And then my mind went to, yeah, but now you're adding systems into a game that doesn't have systems, and how would that fit? And I have to imagine that Ninja Theory had some of those conversations internally. But yeah, if you haven't played Rise, you can. I'm sure that's on Game Pass, or you can get it for like $1. It's
also, if you would have added that gameplay from God of War, it probably would have been better.
See, that I don't like. I don't like.
No, why? Because why not?
No, because it's a completely like. I don't know why God of War has to get mentioned with Hellblade. Explain that to me.
I don't know why Rise ever has to be brought up ever again. After the Norse, it drives me crazy.
A lot of Norse mythology
drives me absolutely crazy.
Like, so every Norse game has to be referred to as God of War now?
I think an over-the-shoulder, visceral, sword-swinging, axe-throwing game.
Visceral.
You throw axes in Hellblade?
Put $5 in the jar, Hogue. You said
Can
visceral.
you throw axes in Hellblade? Yes.
What are you talking about?
Hold on, wait a minute.
They throw an axe at you, you focus, you throw it back at them.
Gosh. See what I'm dealing with, people?
I'm sorry that there's axe throwing in the game that you asked me if there's axe throwing in. I apologize.
I don't mind if you have differing opinions, but can we please keep it civil and not use the word visceral on this podcast?
It does not have to be compared to God of War. I think that's part of the problem with people looking at this game. That's not what I'm trying
to do here, though. I'm just saying,
I know.
If you're going to implement some kind of combat, then implement something good. That's not Rise of Rome, or whatever the hell it is.
Rise, Son of Rome.
Rise, Son of Rome, bro.
Yeah, it's been 800 years since I played it. I'm sorry, I don't remember what it was called. You don't need a sequel to it.
Well,
right? And nobody needs
the Roman Empire lasted longer than 800 years, okay? So put some respect to their name.
I don't think it did. Did it?
The game was fine. Let it be.
Oh man, no, but never mind. I said my piece on that already. All right, Glyveer, thank you. Nissa, member comment.
Member comment playing Hellblade 1 since casual gamer taking.
Hey, that's what it's all about. Take your time, Nissa. No enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Rise was spelled with a Y. Somebody pointed
it
that
out.
It was. You got to trademark those names.
Yeah, it was. Yes. Risk it.
Risk it for the biscuit. With the $2.99, or was
Australian?
Australian. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All types of games can exist.
I love narrative games.
Sure.
I love narrative games, but that means you have to tell me a good narrative.
No, he hates story games. He just cares about hack and slash combat.
Yeah.
It's true.
Mindless.
Or cozy. He'll go cozy sometimes.
He's very high on.
He does go cozy. That one's not even a joke.
He thought Hellblade 2 was a cozy game, hence the problem.
Yeah.
Risk it. Thank you. Hope you're doing well, man. Sid,
with the 400 rupees of some sort. Do you think Hellblade needed a sequel? Oh no, I did not. I said that earlier.
Oh, we got a host supporter.
Yep, the second one feels a bit thematically incoherent and lacks a strong narrative hinge. The brooding cinematography wasn't as impactful, also because the game doesn't feel as personal. That is also true. I agree with that statement. Sure. Like we didn't need to go out and, I just don't think it needed to be done. I think Ninja Theory is super talented and probably could have done something really awesome in a different direction, but
they didn't.
Hey,
I think they're talented.
I think they're great.
Well, their next game apparently has already been greenlit, so we'll see what they do next.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be super dramatic and something.
Sid, thank you very much. Ade.
All right. With the 10, was that pounds? Wow.
10 pounds. Yeah. Right. 10 quid.
Disagree with Sid. Hellblade 2 went from singular psychosis to group psychosis.
That's what I said.
Folie à deux. How you say that? As a medic, it's sensational representation of how myths shape people and communities.
It's amazing though, because we're now having super chats contend with other super chats. So thank you guys for the generosity, by the way. But it is amazing, right? If you look at Sid's comment, which very much aligns with what Hogue described, right? And you look at Ade's comment, it very much describes what I described. And it's just, like I said, I think it's going to be how this game hits you, which really decides whether or not if you vibe with it or not.
I have a question about this game.
Sure.
So,
is it a real question or a Travis question?
No, it's a real question. So
Okay.
I have discussed in the past how I think
Travis, I'm sorry. Ade, thank you. Sid, thank you. Let me close this out so we can get on screen here. There we go.
I've discussed in the past how I think that games that show promise but have certain areas that are underdeveloped, I think make for the best sequels, because you can take the concepts that were kind of in their first draft form and turn them into something that's a lot more like fleshed out and interesting. It sounds like even your endorsement, Ains, does not meet that threshold, that they kind of played it safe and basically just did kind of a prettier version, more of the same sort of thing, that they didn't really step out of the box and try too many new things for the sequel. Is that accurate? Or would you say that they did meet the Travis threshold for what justifies a sequel?
No, I think if that's what you're looking for, you probably would be disappointed. I think it's fair to say that they didn't really move the bar in terms of, like I said earlier on, right? It seemed to be just broad community wise, the biggest complaints with Hellblade 1 were the puzzles and the combat. That's what it felt like, right? And I think that's been the conversation about Hellblade 1 since it launched. With the puzzles, what they basically did is they reduced them. So you're not doing those kind of visual puzzles often. I think there's only like 4 or 5 in the whole game. There's some other types of puzzles that are very minor. They're simple to solve. You know, again, it's just kind of progression based.
They're really
and
the voices will tell you how.
Yeah. And then on the combat side, like I said, it's they didn't put in a deeper system. They made it kind of fit with the cinematography of the game. I think for 2 reasons. One, I think it fits with the structure of the game better than, like I said, in the first game, it's like you're going through this kind of personal journey and you've got this, you know, psychosis going on and you're solving puzzles. And then it's like, oh, here's 4 guys you have to kill. And it's just like hack slash without any purpose at all. Whereas in 2, the combat sequences are they're integrated with your journey. They're integrated with the story. So the combat itself, like the gameplay, to Hogue's point, all jokes aside, the gameplay is more simple because it's one-on-one and it's parrying, dodging, blocking, etc. But I think it is an improvement in the sense that it fits with the game better. That's what I would say. So it's a yes and no, but I think if, to your point, Travis, if you're looking for like very deep or meaningful improvements to puzzle solving in combat, you're going to be disappointed.
I'm more looking for like the justifying the sequel in like the Borderlands 1 being a good concept and Borderlands 2 finally like perfecting and expanding on that concept.
I think what they attempted to do. No, I think what they attempted to do, whether or not it hits with you again, is what we just talked about with the super chats. Is 1 was Senua's journey, 2 is a grander journey featuring other people. That's it. If you like that, great. If you don't, so be it. That's what I would say. I'm trying to be as honest as possible. Like I said, I vibed with it, but I do understand. Like I don't understand as low maybe as Hogue would go, but I do understand if the game didn't vibe with people and they didn't enjoy it. Sure.
My 4 out of 10, as I explained on Twitter, is the first named entry in the IGN scoring scale that lets me use the word bad.
That's true.
I gave it the highest score on the bad side of the IGN scale.
And I appreciate you very much for using our scale and not that horrifying 42-point scale that Ains shared yesterday.
I do have to enjoy somebody saying, finally, we've defeated subjective quantification by having a lot more of it.
Yeah,
exactly. Average.
So I will say, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's a post going around of somebody who claims that they figured out a objective way to do reviews, and they have this 42-point scoring sheet that separates it in a whole bunch of categories. I think Ains, when he sent it to me, expected me to get upset. Actually wasn't. But I mean, you said it to hopefully annoy me, as you often do. You like to poke me. However, this is actually not an uncommon thing. It's basically the first thing every rookie reviewer tries to do is they try to get in there and they try to like mathematize the review process, and then it fails horribly. And then they immediately go, okay, well, I guess now I understand why IGN and other companies do it the way that they do it, because you cannot science it out when it comes to opinions. Yeah, it was the Black Viking post for the player.
Well, there's
so
yeah. I mean,
it's a
obviously,
rookie mistake, basically. Is what
all right, I'm not going to be harsh.
Yeah,
I'll just say, any outlet review however you want, right? I mean, obviously, I would say the first thing that jumped out to me is that you can create 60 scores or whatever you want to do. Every single number is still an opinion. There's everything on the sheet's still an opinion.
My favorite one about this is putting specific points, like things like puzzles or whatever, and then making it count exactly as much as like character and story. Even if it's a game that doesn't have puzzles in it, it's a knock against it. And so it's a very funny, like once you actually try to implement it, you realize it doesn't.
Well, and the best part is that it sums, right? So like puzzles in Madden. Okay, what are you giving it?
Exactly.
And then it only reaches a high level score if it sums. So if you have a 0 for puzzles, automatically you're detracting from the overall game. It just none of it made any sense. I'm like, this they can't work.
That scoring system is going to fall apart. Black Viking is going to say, okay, I get why this doesn't work anymore. And then hopefully to me, this is just it's like a phase. It's like when you see like a teenager really get into nihilism and you go, they'll grow out of that. So to that reviewer, I say, you'll grow out of it. Your system is bad. But you got to figure that out on your own sometimes.
Yeah. And I think, I trust me. I mean, anyone who's kind of come up with a review scale or tried to figure this out goes through all sorts of thought processes, right? And we've changed ours a few times, but I think that's why so many of us just read the review, read it, because if they're a good writer and they're good at portraying their opinion, you'll understand the game and the pluses. You can't just randomly assign numbers to everything like that. It doesn't work.
Well, I link it whenever I can, but I really like IGN's written description of what their numbers mean. And that's why I use it. Travis introduced it to me, but I don't agree with what IGN scores things all the time. I do agree with the way they've described what the scores are supposed to mean.
That's fair.
If you look at 4 out of 10 as bad, it's essentially maybe some good ideas around, but overall swamped by the bad feelings you have experiencing the game. And I'm like, yeah, that's my number for this. And there was a portion of my playtime with Hellblade 2 where I was looking to see if IGN had an awful, and they do. That's 3 out of 10. And that's, if you read their actual descriptions of those, it's that they don't really have any good ideas or anything worth seeing at all. And I don't think Hellblade is that. I think it's a 4 and not a 3. But people that get mad at me for that and say I don't understand how numbers work because that means broken. There's nothing broken in Hellblade except the writing. And so you can go play it. It's not going to crash your system. You can go enjoy it as much or as little as you want. I found it to be bad.
Yep. Shout out to Sard. By the way, Sard, welcome to Season Gaming, our newest contributor over at SG. The solution to poor reviews is better reviews, not more criteria. 100% true. 100% true.
In fact, more criteria gets in the way of good reviews often.
It does.
Especially if you're trying to roll it out across multiple reviewers who don't always have the same. I've actually worked for outlets that did things like, if this thing is in the game, it's a mandatory 1-point drop on the scale. And you're like, okay, so then it's no longer my opinion. It's now this kind of group focus group thing where I have to arbitrarily lower my opinion, because then I'm just going to increase my opinion by 1 point to combat the fact that you made me lower it by 1 point. So we're not really getting anywhere. It just, it's a very stupid exercise. But again, if you're starting out and you're reviewing and you don't know this, you have to figure it out on your own. It's a very hard thing to teach somebody who's passionate and looking at the industry and saying, I see all these problems with it. They will grow out of it. So,
as we always say, I think find people that I keep using the word vibe today. I don't know why, but find people you vibe with from a reviewing standpoint. A reviewer you trust, who you like the way they write, you like, how they present the information about a game. Find those people, right? A good reviewer, like I said, will what what's the word I'm looking for here? Will kind of
Explain their thought process.
Yeah, I mean that's
Justify.
yes, exactly. I mean, just justifies fine too. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Of course you can.
All right. So we talked about how, I'm going to use your word, this game is, vibes with some people, doesn't vibe with other people. Like, and I'm all
I like
for
that we're
doing whatever
vibing
they
about
want. Right. Yeah, just go vibe. Anyway, at what point do you think do the overlords up here go, hey, this is great and it's vibing, but it's not going to make me any money? You know what I mean? Like, at what point does the artistic integrity, I guess, conflict with the the bottom line?
What we talked about a few weeks ago, right?
I'm 100% behind
Yeah, this
whatever
is the,
devs
does
want to make,
Microsoft
right?
need a heavier hand discussion,
Yeah.
right? Like, is Microsoft happy with what Ninja Theory made? I have no idea. I'm not in those rooms, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of them are not.
Right. That's kind of
and what is success? I think that's the biggest question they're asking. Like, how do they measure success here, right? Do you think, someone could say, well, does Hellblade move the needle for Game Pass? I'd say definitively not. You know what I mean?
No way.
Does Hellblade move the needle anywhere? I don't think so. I think that there's people like me and others who are going to really, really enjoy it. And, but I don't know. I don't know what success. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Dan. Like, we don't know what Xbox or the leadership there are using for their measurement of success. We know that Ninja Theory has that Project Mara that they were working on for the past few years. We know that their next game has been greenlit, so they're working on their next game already. Other than that, I have no idea. I don't know what the expectations are.
Like, as a studio, do you go, okay, we're going to make this game knowing full well that this is probably going to hit different for 50% of the people, and the other 50% of people? Are we making it specifically for us? Are we making it specifically for that specific fan base? And is that something that is good for the industry, you think, in the long run?
I think the devs shouldn't be run by the same necessarily commercial aspects of the question, right? But the devs should make what they really believe in and they're passionate about. I do think Hellblade 2, as condescending as I find it, was made by passionate people who cared about the art that they were making. So that I understand, I agree with. The question to me is that what Microsoft wanted? You can make the argument that yes, they do. They want to fund essentially a prestige house to be their Sony game maker, their narrative game maker at Xbox, and Ninja Theory fills that role. That might be what they are. They might be happy with it. I don't know. I'm not in that room. But it's certainly not a crowd pleaser. It's not a, oh my God, have you played Hellblade 2? So I don't know what they're looking for from this studio. I'm not sure they do, right? One of the questions you have with Microsoft is, are they paying attention to anything with the 34 studios that they own now? Do they have a cogent long-term strategy with what they all should be doing for their brand? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. I think in an ideal world, I think Travis has kind of talked about this to some degree before too. I think in an ideal world, when you have a publishing arm that's now this large, right, to Hoag's point, you have over 30 studios, a tremendous size of investment into the game developers and development, right? I think you have your entire width and breadth, I should say, better word, of types of games that are produced, right? So you have your Call of Duties, you have your Diablos, your Warcrafts, these giant IPs that are going to make your money year over year, your engagement farms, your MAU factories, your, all of your ongoing, what we talked about last week, recurring spend, right? Recurring revenue. And then that allows you, right, assuming you're successful enough there, that allows you to have some bandwidth to be able to provide Ninja Theory and maybe Compulsion, right? Those types of studios, the ability to be a little more creative so that if their game comes out and doesn't sell 2, 3, 5 million copies, it's not a big deal. That's what I would hope.
Possibly. I mean, you can function your giant studio enterprise that way, but it might be that you say, okay, we paid for you and your staff for 6 years. You came out with this game. It is, I think, at best divisive. Then should we be funding this same way in the future? And I think that's an interesting question for Microsoft. I don't know that they have the answer right now. I don't know. Obviously, Hellblade came out this week. They don't have definitive numbers for Game Pass or sell through or anything else. They won't for a while. I don't know whether they're proud of this Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, if they're happy with what came out of their funding of Ninja Theory. But if they aren't, I don't know what the future for the Microsoft Studios is on the whole for Ninja Theory or anyone else.
Yeah, I generally agree with you. I would say, just a counterpoint, I don't think it's as divisive as you make it out to be. I think it's an 81 or 82 on Metacritic. I think that generally speaking, critically,
I
it's
really hate kind of appeal to authority with critics, right? Like
I know,
I hate Ragnarok, and
So do I.
Ragnarok
Well, I
has
don't
like a
hate it,
95, right?
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it's appeal to authority to say that like more people are enjoying something that aren't. Like
I don't think the critical class is people. It's an appeal to authority.
I don't think there is a critical class with video games, really. There's like a couple outlets that maybe you can consider it, and then everyone else are like YouTubers and streamers and outlets like Ains that are tiny, and they're just people. Like it's not as sorry.
It's not about the size, Travis.
It's how we use it.
What I'm saying is it's not like movie critics where they're like people who've studied film and like are commenting on all these things that the average viewer are not going to get. Like most video game critics are just like people like me that just play games and didn't like study game interpretation or whatever. And so I think it is a lot more representative of like the average person. And so you can use a Metacritic to go, look, it seems like most people are liking it. If you don't like that, then you can use Steam reviews. I think those are less reliable because there's a little bit of like ulterior motive posting on there, but you can use that. And also on Steam, it's still very positive. I think it's like 80. According to Lucius, it's 87 with over 2K reviews. So 4.1 stars. So I think there's data to suggest it's mostly positive, but that doesn't mean your opinion is less valuable. It just means that you're not on the side of popular opinion.
Also doesn't mean
anything really.
It doesn't mean the game's successful, right? Critical success is very different from monetary success, right? So we don't know, to Hoag's point, of what we don't know. I guess the short answer in all his words is we don't know, Dan. We don't know.
That's fine.
No, I think divisive. I was trying to be generous, right? I think this game is bad.
Well, that is Hellblade. We haven't talked about any other games yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So before we get to the Xbox showcase, the Doom leak, and some other things, why don't we do a quick kind of rundown? I know, Travis, you said that a lot of what you're playing you can't really speak of right now. I know we can mention that you and Zach at SG and some others are playing Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
Can't talk about that yet. I believe the embargo is actually tomorrow.
The embargo's tomorrow. I can say that I've played dozens of hours of it, and my review's done. So I'm just waiting for that will go live tomorrow, and then I think I'm doing a review in progress just because I want to play it on live servers once the game is out before I slap a score on it. So we have learned these lessons before. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna write my final review early next week once the game's been out. So.
Fair enough. Yep. So you'll see coverage from Travis tomorrow on that. I think we're coming a little later in the week. But again, this is a asymmetrical kind of online game. So to Travis's point, it's best served to be played a little bit with live servers. Excuse me.
Three evil clowns hunt down 7 angsty teenagers in a asymmetric horror game. That's the pitch.
Yeah. So a couple things came out this week that I wanted to mention. I haven't played them yet, but in case you guys are. So Hoag, I don't know if you've touched, the Paper Mario kind of remake came out this week on the Switch. We also had System Shock on its console release, the remake from Night Dive. Night Dive?
Yeah, well, Night Dive is the publisher. I think they have an actual coding developer. I don't know Mesa, for sure.
Is it? No, I can't remember now. But yeah, those came out this week. And then the 33 Immortals closed beta. So if you don't remember what that is, that's the game that IGN and Xbox previewed earlier this year in that combined show. I'm hearing really good things about it. I'm actually in it. I just haven't had time to play it. So hopefully I'll talk about that next show. But hearing good things from the people I've talked to that have played it. So You can sign up for that beta, by the way. So check that out. It's from Thunder Lotus. So you can check that out. But Hogue, what you been playing, man? You got anything good to talk about?
I do. First of all, today is the last day of season 1 of Skull and Bones. So just to make sure anybody that's watching us just to hate on me for hating Hellblade, I want you to know that Skull and Bones is a far better video game than Hellblade 2. So
he got us, Travis, again.
Put it on Twitter. I'll meet you there.
He got us again.
Man, he was there lying in wait for the Skull and Bones segment. Yeah.
But it is the last day of season 1. Season 1, I think, was a successful integration of a new boss element and a new fleet of ships together with the existing Skull and Bones framework. I suspect it'll be a very similar thing for season 2, but we'll see. It's still a great game to play if you like piracy or sailing or oceans or islands. So check it out.
In true pirate form, he has suddenly sprung a raiding party on the podcast and stolen the spotlight as his valued booty.
I finally got my Sambuc, so come and meet my flamethrower.
Nice, that's great. Did you get the seasonal boat as well, the healing boat?
I think I'm going to be a couple levels shy of the seasonal boat. It really depends on how much I play today.
You got to get it, man. It's like essential because that's basically if you're going to be a support boat, that's the only max level support boat. So I would grind it out, man. It's worth it.
We'll see how much I do today.
Get off of Diablo, man. For one day, you got to grind.
I have played a lot of Diablo 4.
Get off of Diablo. How dare you? Diablo is amazing right now.
One day. Yeah, but Diablo is not, their season isn't over today. You know what I'm talking about? So got to get through it.
I find it funny that Ains is defending Diablo 4 like that when I feel like I was the only person to mention Diablo 4 for like a 12-month period there.
You were? Well, I mean, me and Travis said how great it was. We just weren't actively playing it.
I was playing it for coverage, so I was getting on for like 1 week a season. So not as religiously as him, but I was covering it. So
that's true. You have been more consistent, Hogue. I'm re-addicted to it now after
Diablo 4 Loot Reborn. We were talking about in the pre-show is a new system of interacting with the loot drops in Diablo, and I think even though I've loved Diablo 4 since it launched, it is a superior system to what it launched with. And so I see a lot of people, engaging with it that maybe bounced off it the first time or didn't love it entirely. And it's really because it gives you stronger, more aimable loot at your build earlier in the level progression. And I think it's very addictive and enjoyable to play in a way that kind of felt like you had to battle through the mid levels in the first version that you don't have to as much this time. In fact, one of the things we were talking about in the pre-show is that I think maybe they have made the campaign too easy. And Travis, of course, rightly said, well, they're aimed at endgame now and they don't care about the mix at campaign level as much, he doesn't think. And I think that's probably right. But I did also say that with respect to Diablo 4, I may not have fallen in love with it as much as I did if the campaign were as easy as I'm rolling through it right now. And maybe that doesn't matter because they got me in the first run. But I think Diablo 4 Season 4 is an excellent upgrade to the game, a game that I already loved and was in my top 3 of last year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, agree with you. It's I've been re-addicted to it. I picked up, I'm not playing seasonal character. I picked up my level like 11 druid in my Eternal Realm and just, because most of the changes to season 4 are just for the game. It's not a season content. And I've been completely addicted. So part of the reason I didn't get much sleep last night was playing late with Bomber. Shout out to Bomber. It's great. It's just there's between the codex changes, the tempering, the hell tides are incredible now, especially once you're higher level. The layers, that they've been there, but the layers we can basically kind of spawn and kind of hunt for uniques and stuff. They've added a lot to the frequent player that just keeps you engaged. And I think what I said before the show was it feels like, at least anecdotally, they've worried less about perfectly tuning the game and more about just letting people have fun. And I think once players get into the end game and they're engaging with your game for hundreds of hours at a time, you need to just let people have fun. It shouldn't feel like a grind. And I think what they've really nailed with this revision is that it doesn't feel like a grind. Leveling's easier, the loot's kind of more fun, the combat is more fun. It's as much chaos as you want to indulge in, and that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think to their credit, the loot is more fun, and there's also less of it, right? Like one of the ways they solved this with season 2 was here's 7 million pieces of loot, and then go and filter and figure it out, which is fun in its own way. You get all that loot. You like to see the loot explosion. But one thing I've noticed in season 4's upgrade is that there's fewer drops that are essentially more readable and more interesting to kind of grade against each other.
Yeah.
And it also means you're taking less trips back to do the old town visit because you're just not filling up quite as fast in your inventory. So I think it all works together really well. I cannot speak highly enough of Diablo 4 Season 4, which isn't really even a season. It's a change to the way that they've functioned.
It's a new foundation.
System. So
yep.
I think it's great. I'm happy to espouse the virtues of Diablo 4. In fact, I will even mention that I was bouncing a little bit between Hellblade 2 and Diablo 4. And one of the things that I noted was that I liked the aesthetics of Diablo 4 a little bit more than Hellblade. And it's not that technically they're on the graphical same plane at all. It's just that Diablo 4 is a gorgeous looking game.
It is.
Achieving a very different look than a Hellblade 2 kind of realism approach. But I did want to mention that one of the things I've always liked about video games is the artistry and things that you can do without the highest level resolution, without the highest level of effects. It's one of the reasons I play so many Switch games, right? I don't need 4K if you have good artistry behind you. And I think that while there's definitely good artistry in Hellblade, it spent a lot to get to that level of volumetric fog and lighting and things. And I don't know that it was helpful to the overall gameplay, which is just me knocking Hellblade again while I say nice things about Diablo.
Diablo, I agree with you though. Diablo is, I think, in my opinion, I think it's my favorite ARPG aesthetically of anyone.
I think it's just gorgeous to me. I just like looking at it.
It's stunning. It's stunning. I think that Diablo 3 went a different direction, which some liked. I actually liked it, even though it wasn't as dark as 2. And there's always been that debate between 2 and 3 of how dark it is. I think 4 strikes a perfect balance. I know Path of Exile gets a lot of credit for being a very dark ARPG, but I think just aesthetically, I think that Diablo 4 is the best. It's incredible. Quick question that Sid had for us real quick. He asked, Ains, is Luke good now? He said in terms of better affixes. And what I can say is they have added a lot of affixes, and the way that you can kind of navigate them, excuse me, with the codex now is awesome because you're constantly like upgrading those affixes. So let's say you have a roll with a 4% chance, and then you find an item with a 5% chance. Excuse me. If you break that down, your codex is then upgraded to where you can always use that 5% chance on future loot. So nothing's wasted. So good point. Good way to say it, Hogue. So as you're upgrading, you're just continually not only upgrading the way your affixes work with one another and combine, right, for your build, and there's a lot more of them now, but you're also upgrading them by continuing to get loot. It's incredibly well done.
Yeah, and it really opens up the yellow space, right? It really opens up that you can use something that isn't a legendary on its own because everything is always available to upgrade in the maximum amount that you've ever found it. So it's just a really smart system.
Yeah. Yeah, and shout out to No Rest for the Wicked. Gorgeous ARPG as well. I think that's probably aesthetically close to D4. It's different, but it's
a very different approach.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I do want to call out and make sure people heard me. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is fantastic. If you like puzzles, if you like kind of engaging in an environment where you have to figure out how to unlock doors and what these various things mean about each other, it is a wonderful puzzle exploration game. I don't think there's any combat in it. It has its own artistic stylings. It's in black and white. And you'll have to look at that. You want to look at some screenshots first. But other than that, it is smooth, fun, and intellectually stimulating. It's also about a somewhat crazy woman dealing with symbology quite a lot. So if any of that was why you were going to go to Hellblade, go to Lorelei instead.
I've never heard of it.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. I believe it's Annapurna. I may be wrong on that, but I think it is.
Very nice.
Ains mentioned System Shock. I suspect he's going to want to talk about System Shock when he becomes a real person and not a cartoon
I can
head.
talk about System Shock. Haven't you guys played it? I played it last year for PC.
I have played System Shock.
Like
No,
the old version I have.
No, I've played the new System Shock on my PlayStation 5.
No.
Travis, I would like to take you up on your offer to talk about it rather than just sit in silence.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I played it last year, and I believe during our like games of the year choices, I had said it was my favorite remake. Just because it's the one remake. You know, Resident Evil 4 was great, and what was the other remake that people were crazy about last year? Can't remember. But you know, those two were both very good games. But for me, System Shock is the one that needed a remake the most, just from like a game preservation angle. And a lot of people hadn't played it and don't know how important and big it sits in the pantheon of awesome old games. And so I really enjoyed replaying it. That was one I played years after it came out, and I was really little, and it just had a super good impact on me.
Shodan is a classic video game character. If you don't know Shodan, you got to pop into System Shock.
We're talking about System Shock, yeah. So sorry, I literally was dying. I had something in my throat. I had to get up. So System Shock, yeah. Someone asked if System Shock. So remake. It was in development for years. It came out on PC, I think, last year officially. It just had its console release this week for PS5 and Series X. So yeah, you can check it out now. I would highly recommend it. There is a physical copy as well. Yeah,
it's good. It is old school, right? Like it does not try to smooth off the edges of some of the puzzle interactions or the pick-upables inventory management. So you have to know that going in, but I think the System Shock remake is really good. The other thing that got remade and I think released this week that I really wanted to mention to people is that the original Wizardry got remade by Digital Eclipse.
Yeah.
And Wizardry is one of the forefathers of turn-based RPGs, Dragon Quest really most notably. So it's remade in three-dimensional graphics, but does not, like the System Shock remake, sand off all of the edges of making characters and dealing with some weird systems from the early 90s. So if any of that sounds good to you, Wizardry came out. It is not one of the Digital Eclipse like documentary library games. You don't get like all that video backing that you get with Karateka, or the other game that I don't think came out this week, but I did buy this week, which is the Digital Eclipse Llamasoft museum piece that they do like Karateka or their Atari video game. And so if Llamasoft rings a bell, Tempest 2000, Attack of the Mutant Camels, really the name of the game. They did a good job with the documentary for that. And I did want to mention that to people as well. Paper Mario is a game that I play with my daughter. So I have only played like the half of the first chapter because she only plays when she wants to play. And so we don't advance without her.
I saw that so if you bought the hard copy of Paper Mario, you could actually get a slip cover that was from the GameCube edition that you could put on it. It's really, really cool. I got to try and find that. But yeah, I need to play that one. I only played the original. Obviously, this is a remake, right? I only played the original for like maybe an hour or two. I never actually played through the whole game. So, but I hear most people say it's their favorite, of that era because it's a not Square Enix, SquareSoft one, right, with Nintendo.
No, this isn't Square.
Oh, I'm thinking of Mario RPG. Sorry.
No, this is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door was their GameCube Paper Mario.
That's right. I just said it had the slip sleeve, and then my mind went to Mario RPG. Sorry.
And it is also my favorite. It's where they really had interesting characters that joined you and had their own powers as you proceeded through the land. And I didn't play it all the way through back when it was on the GameCube either. So I'm looking forward to the back half of this game, which I've never seen before. Nice. But it seems like a really good, I'm going to call it a port because it feels like it used to feel. And it's goofy in a way that I think really works for Paper Mario franchise. But yes, me and my daughter played through Origami King back when it came out. And I think this is if I'm remembering it correctly, this is a better system, a better RPG than Origami King was. And so I'm looking forward to playing it through with her further.
Nice. Yeah, I can't remember if I actually have the original GameCube one sitting back there or not. But anyway, all right.
I think that's about it. I continue to play Endless Ocean Luminous
Hogue
as
notes, Hogue
as
notes.
my therapy calming game. But yeah.
That's the end of Hogue's notes.
We just got to get the little screen thing for it. All right, so let's jump over to wait. I think we have a couple comments and super chats to get to. Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Glyphere with a $2 or $2 super chat. Glyphere is how you pronounce it, apparently. Got 8 hours out of Hellblade 2, worth Game Pass.
Yeah, that's what we said. It's about 8 hours. I don't know where the fives are coming from, but yeah, it's about
I've seen some 5-hour YouTube playthroughs, so it probably can be done.
It can if you're literally just yeah.
But yeah, you kind of
You're sick.
I mean, there's 5-hour playthroughs of countless games you wouldn't think are actually 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like it's
well, it's not like a speed run or anything.
I don't have a problem with a shorter game. I never have. Like
No.
to me, Metal Gear Solid was one of my favorites back in the day, and it's maybe like 6 3/4.
Your face is
Fair
a
enough.
shorter game.
Glyphere, thank you. DS.
Yes, with the £2. 4 out of 10 is Hogue being super generous. Game is poor. Wow.
Got to attack me from that direction too, huh?
Yeah.
Stop being so generous, Hogue. Damn. Well, thank you for the super chat. Fair enough. All opinions welcome here. Well, not all, but
where?
Yeah, except for the guy who commented earlier.
yeah, except for the guy that we had to boot.
Hold on
Cherry, thank you for member over at Hogue channel for 16 months.
Thank you, Cherry.
Dog pictures always welcome, by the way. Mr. Two Opinionated.
Mr. Two Opinionated. Some more Fortnite, COD, and Ubisoft games. Great.
This popped up when we were talking about the Xbox conversation publishing around Ninja Theory, and will they continue to let Ninja Theory be artistic, that type of thing. So, as I said, I think that you have to strike a balance, right? I think that most people would be. I won't speak again. I would assume most people would be pretty disappointed if Xbox used all this investment in all these studios to just create the 20 Call of Duties, right? I don't think that's going to happen. I hope that's not going to happen.
The invisible hand of the market, Mr. Two Opinionated. Works in
Soaking it with a member
ways.
comment. Thank you, Mr. Two Opinionated, for the super chat.
Yeah, disagree on Hellblade 2, but I hope Hogue likes Lorelei. He does.
Fair enough.
I think if you're going to only pick one game where you're talking about a woman dealing with symbology and madness, I would pick Lorelei.
I saw someone else post about Lorelei this morning. I hadn't checked it out, but awesome. Soaking it, thank you. And Don
coming in with the $10. Good day, casters. Hope everyone's doing well. Did I just wake up after playing Pillars of Eternity until 5 a.m.? Yes,
nice.
I did. Nice work. First time playing, loving it. Played a year ago. Prepping for Avowed.
You know, Don, if you like the pirates in Pillars of Eternity 2, there's an excellent game just about pirates.
I'm muting him. It's over. He's hit quota. He's hit the max quota for SMB talk. It's only SMB now. You can't even say the actual words. We just reference it from now on. But that's cool, Don. Thank you very much for the support as always. All right. So let's jump over. So, like I said, I'm not going to be here next week, which kind of sucks. Normally, the week prior to Showcase Week, we would do our predictions. But, so we got a couple leaks this week, primarily around Doom. So the next Doom is reportedly, and kind of with people, I would say, we don't usually talk about rumors or leaks here unless they're we feel they're valid. And I definitely feel this one's valid based on the, who we've talked to about it. So Doom is coming. It'll be shown at the Xbox Showcase. It's called Doom: The Dark Ages. And according to the light information that seems to be around this one, is that this is potentially a prequel for Doom. And the quote that was used around how they wanted to design the new Doom game is really based around Doom Eternal becoming too much of a speed game, a faster game, where they want to get back to Doom Slayer feeling more as a kind of huge, for lack of a better word, killing machine. More visceral, one would say.
$5 in the jar.
But more of a kind of heavier, weightier type game than Eternal was. And also the reports that are trusted too is that this game will still launch multi-platform. This will not be Xbox exclusive. It'll launch Xbox, PC, PS5, as it would have prior to the Bethesda acquisition. So we'll see. I will say, we were talking prior to the show, I'm excited about this. I love Doom. And while I liked Eternal, I'm on the camp that I think 2016 was a better game, the reboot. And then I vibe. There we go again. I kind of liked 2016 more because it just felt more, I think Travis said before the show, pure, which felt the right word in the sense of it felt more like a core Doom experience, where Eternal, I think, tried some new things and did them well, very well, actually. It just wasn't as much for me. So if they go back to more of a more simplified, kind of weightier approach, I'd be down for that for sure.
Now, see, I wouldn't describe 2016 as weighty. So, like, I love 2016. I didn't love Eternal. My concern would be that they're going to go to slower than 2016.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, if they go too slow, I think that'd be a mistake, right? So there's probably, for me, there's a balance to strike there. I don't know what it is, but I am excited about this.
Now I'm imagining the Doom guy trying porridge and trying to get that Goldilocks section. This combat is too fast. This combat is too slow. But this combat is just right.
2016
right?
to me was they did that. They figured out what was good for Doom.
Yeah.
So if they want slower, heavier combat than Eternal, that's fine-ish. Eternal was a little bit zippier, but I would rather them make a game that evoked 2016. So we'll see.
Me too.
I like both of them, but I agree, like, Eternal goes farther away from like a traditional Doom formula. I'm okay with that. You guys know I tend to like it when people try new things. So
Eternal's a great game. Let's not.
Yeah, and I hope that they try new things with this current game rather than just retreating back to Doom 2016. Because although 2016 is good, I don't think you rest on your laurels.
I would say.
I mean, if it's going to be medieval, I assume we're going to fight a dragon with a rocket launcher. That's really all I'm looking for.
That's all anybody's looking for in life.
So, yeah, well, I mean, 2 weeks to the day, we will find out. So,
yes. And you will be there in person, will you not?
I will be in LA. As of this moment, I am not confirmed to be going to the Xbox showcase in person.
Whoa.
So Xbox is ignoring.
Did our boy Ains dirty.
Come on. We know the Xbox C-suite is watching this Bitcast. Invite Ains. You cowards.
Yeah. Do me a favor, get on Twitter, say bring Ains to showcase. No, it's actually really strange because, as you guys know, I've been obviously with COVID, they didn't have a showcase every year, but I've been involved with Xbox officially since like 2019. I write about Xbox a lot. I know a bunch of the guys over there, and this is the first year that I haven't officially been invited as of this moment. So it is a smaller show this year. There's a FanFest is narrowed down quite a bit, but yeah, get on Twitter, make it vocal, get Ains and
hashtag XXX Ains.
Yeah, Satya, go ahead and read his review of Hellblade 2. Come on, you know.
But no, the weird thing is I'll officially be at SGF Summer Game Fest show. I'll be at UB Forward show. I'll be at IGN, obviously, and Giant Bomb as well. The only one I haven't been formally invited to is Xbox. Strange. So whatever.
Hater boy Ains.
I know. They're
that Pentiment score wasn't high enough, dude. They saw it. They were like,
they're not vibing with me at the moment. You know what I mean?
No. You gotta fire that Hogue guy, and then we'll let you in.
Hogue got me booted out of the Xbox showcase.
Yeah, I mean, when you get seen with a radical extremist like Hogue online, it can really damage your reputation.
It's true. Yeah. But so we'll see. Regardless, I think, you know, the kind of funny thing here is the showcase is supposed to be around 90 minutes. They're doing the Call of Duty Direct, which we'll talk about in a second, right? Because that's confirmed this week officially anyway. But then Phil is going to be with IGN doing an interview in person at the IGN event immediately after the showcase, which Ryan McCaffrey's doing. So it's almost kind of funny because they're in different locations, obviously. So now I'm kind of thinking, even if I was invited to Xbox Showcase, do you still go? Because otherwise I can just watch the showcase with the people at IGN, and then Phil's just going to be there anyway afterwards. So either way it works out. We'll be covering it either way.
That's the move. I hope I'm there, Ains. I still don't know.
Come down.
I won't know until like 5 days before if I'm going to be needed, but yeah, probably not.
And then this week they did officially, we've talked about this, it was our topic last week, but they officially confirmed that yes, it is Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is what they're saying for the direct afterwards. The only news that came out this week was that yes, the game is still going to launch on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which people were kind of asking about with Call of Duty. And apparently there was a data point that 48% of Call of Duty players on PlayStation are still on PS4. So
Black Ops 6 does not sound like Desert Storm to me, I must say.
Gulf War, you mean? Gulf War.
Gulf War.
Yeah.
I think we heard some bad rumors. We'll
see. We'll see. There was a obviously it's a leak as always, right? But there was a kind of leak that showed that this may be dealing with 9/11.
I saw the no, I don't think so.
I'm just telling you what was shown.
I think people
I don't
talking
trust
about
Activision with 9/11.
You don't think Activision could plan 9/11?
I don't think Activision can write a story or characters around 9/11 in a way that I would find to be reasonable.
You don't think they could pull it off?
No, they shouldn't.
As an inside job?
We're back to that. An inside job, is that what you said?
You don't think Activision could do 9/11?
You don't think Kotick wasn't behind the whole thing?
Oh boy.
No, but I mean there was a live action trailer this week, right? That showed like Mount Rushmore. So I'm guessing it's like alternate reality or futuristic or something. It doesn't seem like it's exactly what I expect from a Call of Duty game, which is like absolutely no gravity to it, just silly. It's out there content.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. They talk about it. I think the official marketing term was the darkest chapter yet, right? We'll see what that actually means, because who knows what the hell that's supposed to mean. So anyway, so that's the direct afterwards. And then the only other thing, we know that Avowed's going to be there. They did say that at Summer Game Fest and Showcase, they're going to have hands-on time with Indiana Jones and Avowed. Which, they were supposed to release this year. Obviously, release dates move all the time. But if there's hands-on time with them, you would think, logically, that they would be pretty close to, getting close to that kind of release tightness. So we'll see.
Sounds like a condition. Not release tightness.
So we'll see. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to capturing a whole bunch of footage of all these different things. So it should be a good time. So
I got to tell you, I'm not thrilled about Avowed and Indiana Jones and Black Ops 6 being the major tent poles of the Xbox release schedule. But considering Sony doesn't have anything on their calendar, I don't know what to say.
I'm really excited for Avowed because I do trust Obsidian generally. I like what they produce. I like what they make. I will say, as I think many people, when they showed the gameplay from early developer direct, I think earlier this year, the kind of first person combat and the look of that wasn't vibing with it. It didn't look
they changed it right after that. Remember, they're like,
they said it was still being updated, so we'll see. But I think as a game, I'm excited about it. It does live in the Pillars universe, going back to Don's super chat. So we'll see. Story wise, Obsidian's usually pretty good, so we'll see.
Also, in RPGs, combat is the last thing you build.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, generally speaking, you guys, I don't know what your thoughts. My thoughts, first person perspective, kind of not FPS, sword and board style combat never really feels great to me to begin with.
Doesn't ever feel great.
They have not mastered that. No.
Yeah, I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance tried to do the kind of more realistic approach, which I appreciated because I think it maybe fits better. But I'm trying to, like, if people talk about how much they love Skyrim, I'm like, what makes Skyrim great is not the combat by any stretch of the imagination. You know what I mean?
That is true.
So.
Or the story. It's really just the mods.
It's the content that other people built for the game afterwards.
No, I mean, it's the freedom. You kind of expect, especially in the Xbox 360 era, that when you get a giant open world map, you are sacrificing certain other aspects of the game, like combat. So
yeah,
I've liked a lot of what Obsidian has done in the past. I just didn't love the Outer Worlds. So
you fool.
I like Outer Worlds.
I don't think that's a good game.
Yeah, but you have brain damage. So
That's true. But it's like you can't use that for every argument.
I'm going to use it for
Kinda
every
can.
argument. Yeah, for sure.
I thought Outer Worlds was good. I didn't think it was amazing, but I liked what they did, with the choice selection. I think the Obsidian's usually pretty good at that. So we'll see how Avowed does. I mean, at least we know this is their kind of bigger game they've been working on for a while. So I do have pretty high expectations for it. We'll see. So anyway, yeah, we'll a couple weeks, we'll see all this stuff finally. And I wanted to ask you guys a few things just for fun, as we always do, or I should say I tend to do with you guys. So we're going to random. I didn't even put this in the notes so you guys couldn't cheat. So we're going to quick fire answers, yes or no, whether or not we're going to see this either at Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, sometime in the summer shows.
Summer
Okay, you guys ready?
2024. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Do we see State of Decay 3?
Yes.
No.
Yep.
Okay, saying yes. Do we see what's next for Diablo 4?
Now wait a minute. This
Yeah.
isn't fair. Travis has seen all of the IGN previews.
But I wouldn't be able to comment on it
amazingly,
if I
he
did
still
see it.
loses at this, Hogue.
But you wouldn't.
true.
You're not allowed to comment on what you've seen, but you're answering yes or no on these things. Okay. What was the
I'm
question?
answering yes or no that are purely based on my own speculation, not anything I've seen.
If he wins, we'll say he cheated, Hogue. It's a win-win for us. Don't worry about it. It's a
We'll
win-win.
Deal.
report on Fizz.
Do we see what's next for Diablo 4?
Yeah, they'll give us a little expansion taste.
Okay, I'll say yes as well.
Yes.
I expect like a teaser trailer for the new class, right? Like, wasn't one of the shows where they had like the Necromancer in the forest, and then they said Necromancer coming to Diablo 4? Like, I expect one of those.
Then
Okay.
I will also say yes,
Okay.
based on no information.
No,
we know,
that's
we know,
well, that's
we
the
know
point.
there's a
This
new
is just
character class, and we know it's not the one that people keep asking for. So
Right.
correct.
So they still have to tell us what it is, and I think that that would be a good trailer.
yes.
Do we see what's next for Starfield?
Yes, Shattered Space. We'll get a teaser for.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no.
I will say yes, but I don't care.
I'll say,
Just to be clear, how predictions work, Dan, we don't. How much you care doesn't really factor into.
I love how I said
show
yes or no quick fire, and we turned each one into a conversation anyway.
Right.
Fable. Do we see Fable?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, why? Why gotta be unfortunately?
See,
I
he's
don't like
adding,
Fable to begin
opinion
with.
to it. How am I the
No.
one not putting opinion into my answers? I'm the
Yeah,
only
it's
one
just
doing
yes or
it.
no.
Me? Come on, you can do better.
I say yes.
No.
No,
No? Okay. Clockwork Revolution.
No.
no.
I don't even know what that is. Oh yeah.
They revealed it too
In
recently.
Exile. In Exile
Yeah,
is
I
new.
don't
it's that
think it's ready.
Bioshock looking one. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I'll say yes with you, Dan. Okay.
Yeah.
South of Midnight.
No.
No.
I think those are
Again.
the two that got revealed with teasers and are way away.
Is that the
Not
one on
far
the
enough along.
Yes. It's
Sure.
compulsion.
I'm gonna go yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go yes as well. Hell, why not? Contraband, the game that first debuted the teaser at 2021.
Yes, we'll get another slow crawl over like a wooden box in a room, and it'll say Contraband, and that's it.
Wait, that's what we got in 2021.
Well, it's going to be a different box. You see, that's the key.
Fair enough. I think we see Contraband.
I say no.
Okay.
Yeah, I say no, just because I don't even remember what this game is. So yeah, I'm assuming.
Okay. Do we get in some form or another a sizzle reel?
Yes, they love sizzle reels.
Yeah.
They do, but they haven't always done them.
Sizzle's the only thing they do well.
It'll have one of those YouTube royalty-free tracks on it. It'll be great.
Sure.
Yeah. No,
I'm
actually,
gonna
I'm not gonna go with royalty-free tracks. I'm gonna go with cover of existing popular song.
It could be. Yeah, I'm going to say no, regardless.
Hmm.
And the most
Really?
important, yeah.
Not even an indie sizzle.
No,
Indie
that's
sizzle
usually what
counts.
we get, but we did
I
not.
assume a Game Pass sizzle.
Could be a Game
Game Pass
Pass sizzle. Yeah, that's probably a better bet. We already talked. Ade says Gear 6. We did talk about Gear 6. I do think Gears will be there. I'm very excited about Gear 6.
Your Honor, clarifying question. What counts as sizzle? Are we talking montage? Any montage is sizzle?
Yes.
Okay, great. No,
What about
Yeah,
the ending montage where they
music,
just show everything they
little
just showed?
clips, title in the corner.
No, the end game, the end one doesn't count. The summary
No.
one doesn't count.
No.
Come on.
All right.
Okay, and the most important question of all, I saved the best for last, of course, is Banjo-Kazooie there?
No.
Absolutely not.
God
In
damn
our
it.
hearts.
I'm going to say yes because I've done that for 5 years, Dan.
Maybe that's
5
your problem.
Very
Maybe you should go opposite and will it into existence. Yeah.
All right.
You have a better chance of Beyond Good and Evil 2 being there than you do.
I have
I
insider
would say there's a better
information
chance
that
of
that's not
there's a
gonna
better
happen.
chance of the Balls game that you like so much getting a sequel.
Bang on
What?
balls.
Bang on balls.
Bang
Don't
on
make me pull up the
balls.
Steam
That's
reviews of
actually
Bang on Balls.
one of the 2 balls games he likes, Hogue.
Sorry.
I was trying to think of a quip. I got nothing.
The other game is deeply personal and not a video game.
All right, well, I forgot one, which the chat is reminding me of, Perfect Dark, which we did mention a couple weeks ago.
No.
Did we see Perfect Dark?
No.
Nope. You mean Beyond Good and Evil Xbox Edition? No. Do not see it. I realized
my
I
God.
said no for most of these.
Yes,
So
yes, you
I
did.
am
You did.
You did.
Travis believes they're not going to show anything.
They're not showing anything.
Okay.
It's actually
Well,
an 8-minute show, and then they go to Call of Duty.
Look, I think it's going to be a lot of Activision. I don't know.
It's actually
yes to
just
Diablo
Bill and
Call of
Todd talking about the meaningfulness of Starfield around
Hey.
the desk.
It just works.
It's a very short conversation.
Don has the best sequel name, by the way. It's Bang on Two Balls.
Yes.
I want
With
the
the
question
question
mark
mark.
as part of the title.
Yes.
absolutely right.
Oh my
That
So
would
you
be goated. That would be a goated decision. Oh my god!
I'd buy it. I'd pre-order it right away. It wouldn't even
bang
matter.
on 2 balls, and then the thumbnail is a person like
Put a ball in each hand.
A ball in each hand too.
All right. So you guys wanted to talk about because I'm not familiar, so I'm gonna let you guys run with this. With the Bungie lawsuit got settled and some commentary around Final Shape. So I know we've got Travis on Final Shape and lawsuit. We got Hogue here. Hit us.
I think they just flat out won. I don't think it was a settlement.
They did win. Yeah.
It's just over.
A little
Okay.
context on what was happening here is people were selling cheat solutions on Destiny for a number of years. These did a bunch of things from make it so that you could gain supernatural powers in PvP, which is an insane thing to do in a very casual PvP game, all the way to like carrying services and that sort of thing. They were mostly the like just auto aim and stuff like that. And Bungie sued them saying you're violating our user agreement, you're violating a bunch of other stuff, so we're going to sue you. And they won, which is cool for them.
I think Travis has it right. Yeah. And if you're interested in more of the details of that lawsuit, there is an episode of Virtual Legality on my channel that talks about it. I have not followed up with the final disposition by the jury here of $63,000, I think. But Bungie is one of the most aggressive video game companies, or historically has been. They have since, I think, let go of their general counsel, but is one of the most aggressive companies at kind of policing this type of stuff. So this is, even with a $63,000 verdict, a very important decision in the landscape of video games, because it does suggest that those end user license agreements and getting past them are actually a damaging thing for the value of the end product, which I think we know as gamers, but the law hasn't acknowledged that before now. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, this is also the second case in as many years that Bungie has pursued and won that set legal precedent in the games industry. Last year's being one where somebody sent a death threat to one of their people in development, and they won that, which also said, hey, actually, you can't just throw around death threats to the developers you don't like. Granted that case was extreme and like very extreme, involved like phone calls and threats to his wife and stuff like that. But still, it's very interesting to see Bungie kind of pave the way here. They're out there defending their game and their developers, which is interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you want to touch on Final Shape?
Yeah,
Can you?
I can touch on Final Shape a little bit. I can say that this week we got some Vidoc content that showed off more of the game and talked about the development process, and they went into the story and what this means and yada yada. And then they also showed the first footage of Keith David replacing the late Lance Reddick for the role of Zavala, which was a really, I mean, Lance Reddick defined that character for 9 years. His voice is Zavala's voice. It's really hard to imagine his voice as anyone else. And I had been wondering if Keith David was going to do kind of an impression of him, because we've seen characters get replaced in the past with both models. Like Nolan North didn't try to do a Peter Dinklage impression when that role got replaced. They just changed the voice entirely. But he did do a Nathan Fillion impression when Nathan Fillion left the project, and he did, I think, a really good job at kind of getting pretty close to that voice. And so I was wondering,
not tell if you don't know the history there.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're just an outsider, you could definitely be fooled. And so I was sort of wondering if they were going to try to do a Zavala voice for Zavala and mimic Lance Reddick, just because that is so ingrained in his character. And it seems Keith David is just using his own voice, which kind of changes Zavala a lot, because Keith David's got a lot of gravitas, and he's got a very deep, kind of wise voice is the way I think of his voice. Whereas Lance Reddick sounds like a kind of a beat cop, he's like more. Yeah, to me, he's more like
both having gravitas. I think of Keith David as having more of a twinkle in his eye, right? Goliath. But I think you hire someone differently if you're going to try to copy the Lance Reddick voice than Keith David, because you don't hire him to do anything but his voice. He's got a very noticeable voice himself. And certainly you look at things like Alan Wake, and the character of Mr. Door in Alan Wake 2 is very clearly doing a version of Lance Reddick, because the Lance Reddick character in Quantum Break is probably the same character as in Alan Wake 2, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there that we don't need to get into to explain the Remedyverse. But like, I presume he would have been available, and Bungie going in a completely different direction, I think, is the wise move. Just say this is a different voice completely. You're not going to get this kind of half quasi Lance Reddick approach. And I like
it just
Keith
changes
David.
the character, right? Like, like I think Keith David's voice is a very different Zavala, because I view Lance Reddick's performance as Zavala having like, he's very like kind of stick in the mud, and like, I'm going to draw the line here, and I'm a rules follower, and that's sort of Lance Reddick's thing. And Keith David doesn't have that at all. He sounds like a very, it's such a different, it's weird hearing Keith David's voice come out of Zavala, because it makes the character feel totally different.
I agree with that.
Yeah. We talked about this on The Last Word this week, about how if Keith David had been playing Zavala from the beginning, Zavala would be a completely different character in the universe, because I think they informed Zavala's character and the things he does based on Lance Reddick's performance and rendering of him. It's a really interesting thing. So anyway, I'm a huge fan of Keith David. Like I think he's got one of the best voices ever. And so I just it's weird to hear his voice come out of this character I've known for so long, but he's awesome. He's awesome in Mass Effect. He's awesome in Halo. He's awesome on Community for the one season he was on that
show. It's funny. I think when I think of Keith David in live action, I usually think of him as the like Secret Service guy in Armageddon. So it's a very
God, he's so good in that. Oh my God,
Something About Mary.
What a goat,
good show.
Spawn. Somebody said Spawn. How could you forget about Spawn?
Keith David's amazing. He's just one of those guys. Yeah.
It's just weird hearing Spawn's voice come out of Zavala, the uptight dude, the uptight, always plays by the rules guy, and now it's the opposite of that. That's, I think his voice is not being that at all. So it's just very interesting, and I'm wondering how it'll change the way they write him or the way the story goes. But anyway, Final Shape is looking good from the outside. We'll have more coverage on people who've played the game.
That's pretty imminent, isn't it, Travis? When is Final Shape's release date?
It is in June, so mid-June. It's not super imminent. It's kind of imminent. It's semi-imminent.
I was gonna say it's the end of May. I mean, you're a couple of weeks out. Alex says June 4th. That's next week.
Oh, wow, that's really soon. I'm reviewing it.
I mean, I don't play it. That's why I don't know. So sorry.
Yeah. Raid Days IGN Live weekend. Okay, so that's why I'm not going to SoCal.
IGN
All right, it's
Live
all
weekend.
coming together for me now. It's all coming together for me because I'm reviewing
Alex is keeping track of your schedule better than you, apparently.
Honestly, he does a great job. Sometimes he'll hit me up and be like, "Yeah, you got that review coming up," and I'll be like, "How do you know this about my life?" But
see, my DMs from Alex are always like, "So, how's Hellblade Chapter 3 treating you? Like, why are you poking me?"
Yeah. Well, I think he was
partially because we talk about everything we talk about here on our Discord and the SG side, the private side. So that's why. Yeah, it's fun.
Anyway, I'm reviewing the Final Shape, so I will be playing that on June 4th, apparently. I guess I really need to get this Disney Dreamlight Valley review out the door. So
I would assume Bungie doing the normal thing where they were just playing it once it goes live on their servers, or do they actually have a review access early, for reviewers?
I can't talk about that.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
And like Alex says, the raid is IGN Live weekend. That's a shorter window between release and raid this time?
Extremely short. Yeah. So they used to do 10 days. So you'd get that first 3 days after the Tuesday release, and then you'd get a full other week until the next Friday. This time they're doing it immediately after. It's 3 days after, I think, the game comes out. And so the reason for the turnaround is the raid is a conclusion to the campaign, which has not been the case in the past, where you kind of complete the campaign, the story's done, and the raid is like a little extra side story. This is like the final boss is in the raid, and so they're doing it as a way to kind of keep the story cohesive. But it's going to be a little weird considering that if you don't do the raid, you don't see the story, or you don't at least get to participate in the final battle.
That might make me mad.
Strange.
It might make you mad. I think it's going to make some casuals a little upset, but we'll see how they walk that line. The way I would think of it, Hogue, is if you played the Taken King, if you play that campaign, you think you killed the Taken King, right? And it feels like a conclusion of the campaign. And then you play the raid and you find out that the raid, you actually kill him. And so I think it could be they could make it feel like if you beat the campaign that you beat the game. And then
I don't know what you're talking about. I've had every DLC character since the Taken King tell me I killed the Taken King. So
yeah, so you do kill the Taken King in that DLC, but you do it in the raid. In the campaign, you actually just damage him enough, and then he retreats to his throne world, and then in the raid you kill him in his throne world.
Hey man,
it's really deep lore, guys. Okay, the Destiny lore is so stupid.
I haven't played Destiny in a long time, so we'll see if I pop back in.
But Destiny is playing you always.
The Destiny is with you always.
That's right.
By the way,
Destiny is calling me.
I need to share something real quick. The Bang on Balls Steam reviews, just want to point this out. Overwhelmingly positive. Thank you. I agree.
I mean, I wouldn't give it a thumbs down either. But
speaking of balls.
Okay. Transition that, Ains.
There's a new Astrobot game coming out.
It makes no sense.
Take that as you will.
Terrible transition, but there is.
Not officially reported yet, but definitely, again, very, very reliable sources here. So, new Astrobot has been worked on for a few years now. It's going to be Asobi's largest project to date, and
glorious.
I agree with you. And the initial information, which I actually like, is that it's releasing on PS5 as a pure platformer, and then will potentially go to a version on PSVR 2 in the future. So I am extremely excited about this. I love my 3D platformers. Astrobot is awesome. And I just imagining what they did previously with the launch of the PS5 with the DualSense and everything, and imagining that in a full scope project, super exciting.
See, I had assumed that with the Asobi being quiet for so long, and with this rumored PlayStation 5 Pro, that they were being asked to make a new playroom for the Pro. So this is a real game.
That's what the leak says. And again, this is a leak that's kind of trusted. We don't talk about leaks that are stupid here usually. So this is a trusted one. Yes.
Well, I'm going to lose my mind when this is officially announced, but I'm going to hold on to it until then because I don't want to get overly excited about something that turned out to not be what I wanted. But I love Astrobot so much. If you haven't played Astrobot, folks, this is the best 3D platformer of the modern age. And I'm very glad if, as you say, it's coming out on the PlayStation 5 and not the PlayStation VR 2, because they deserve to have a base that actually exists to show people that to show that people care about the games that they make. And then if you want to bring it to PlayStation VR 2 later, it's a format that really works well in VR. The
Yes.
Astrobot game that was on the VR 1 was excellent.
Yes,
but
it was. It was incredible. One of the best games on VR1, in my opinion.
Astrobot is so exciting. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So, and PS5 Pro is coming. I can guarantee that. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you don't think of a 3D platformer as being the showcase for a interim system like that, but who knows? They may have that announcement tied together somewhere here in the future. So we'll see.
If it's the Pro only Sony, you might have me, which would really make me upset. But if Astrobot is PS5 Pro only, I don't know how to avoid that one.
I don't think they do. I don't think they're that silly to do anything Pro only, because now you're talking about a base that's going to be PSVR 2 levels, at least initially, right? So, yeah. And then this week we did get, like I said, Game of the Year 2024. It's already been decided. It's official. If you didn't hear,
No.
the Shadow of the Erdtree story trailer came out. I won't go into, the geek details, but basically, the reports on this
in that trailer, I have to mention.
Say it again.
I said, I have absolutely no idea what's happening.
Oh, you haven't even played Elden Ring, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
If you don't play the game, you won't know what's happening in an expansion. I mean,
there's a naked lady with an apple.
I'm in. Yeah, let's do it.
As you would expect,
Spoiler.
Vadi already has a 30-minute video on it out. So it basically is reported anyway to be as big as 4 regions of Elden Ring. Said that From Software has been working on this expansion since before Elden Ring launched, kind of co-development. So over 3 years now. And they did release the soundtrack details, which is over 30 new tracks just for the expansion. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, Ains, but 4 regions is freaking huge, no?
Yeah, no, it's gigantic. Yeah, so that's what I'm joking Game of the Year, because if this is what it's reported to be, and based on the story trailer, if you know the details, it looks to be, this will be bigger than a lot of games that released this year, no doubt. Yeah.
I just want that fruit explained to me. I don't know what's happening in that trailer. Watch
the Vadi vid. Do you know who Vadi is?
I have no idea who Vadi is. Should I?
Well, yeah. I mean, so Vadi Vidya is kind of the go-to guy, one of them anyway. The most famous one, I'd say, for FromSoft kind of lore stuff. He's very, very well known. Yeah. He has like 3 million. He has like 3 million subs or something.
This is going to explain to me what's happening in that trailer, and then the game's not going to touch on it except for like item descriptions.
Hey, you don't have to like From games. It's fine.
I don't like them like you do, but I like Elden Ring fine.
Yeah. I one day hope that you play through Elden Ring. I
one day hope to play through it, but I'm a little less well equipped than I once was.
Fair.
I'll send you some bananas in the mail so you can play with your banana controllers.
What?
You guys didn't see that?
I don't know what you're referring to, honestly.
Somebody's been playing the Souls and Elden Ring, their Souls-like games on bananas. Like they
plug
into the bananas and they push on the bananas to get controls. Very good.
I did see the guy had a goldfish beat Godwin.
Yes,
or not Godwin. The other guy's name, I forget. Godric.
If a goldfish can beat Godric, so can you. Is a great argument.
I've beaten Godric.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Remember, he said he beat Godric, and then you basically, I think that's where you stopped, right? When you were getting to Liurnia, right?
I think I said I beat that dude with all the grafted appendages and got out of the castle. But yes, that is what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, this released in a few weeks. I was extremely excited this week, guys, because I am confirmed to get hands-on time with this in LA. I have my time locked in. I will be there, ready to roll. So I'll have coverage of this as well. From what I understand, previews will actually be out that week as well of this prior to launch. And I hope to be reviewing it like I did Elden Ring. So more to come on that one, of course. So, well, boys, we got some super chats to catch up on here.
Well, why'd you say that
Well,
threateningly?
well.
Like you said
I
that
don't
like
know
an
why I
Elden Ring character.
Well,
we've
He
got
just gets
some
into that
super
brain
chats.
space.
I'm in it. I'm in it.
All right, Balkus. The $5 Canadian Eternal was pretending to be Doom. 2016 was effing Doom. Rest in peace,
I tend to agree.
TB.
Rip and tear until it's
Tuberculosis?
done.
I think
That's not
it's a little too harsh on Eternal. I quite liked Eternal.
Eternal's too weird for me. It's just
You're
I
too
don't
weird
want
for me.
I don't want
Didn't
high
have to
fantasy in
from-
my Doom.
I liked Eternal a lot too. I just think 2016 was better. That's all. Thank you, Volkus. Don is back.
I want to play Doom Maternal, where he becomes a mother and
That would
takes
be
care
awesome.
of his little
Doom goes woke.
Doom goes woke. That's the ticket.
Yep, not touching that one. Let's see here. Don with the $5 super chat. Travis is the kind of guy who defended New Coke. Well, they tried something new. I respect that. It was a good idea. Ains, you get my email back. Odd. This is all over the place.
Let me defend myself first on this
You're
one.
not going to defend New Coke, though, Ryan.
I wouldn't defend New Coke,
Okay.
but I would always defend trying new things because I think trying new things is cool and it's how we get new things. But not all endeavors are successful, including New Coke. And so
That's right. Taking risks is risky.
taking risks is risky, and sometimes those risks don't pay off. But if you never take the risk, what you get is the blandness and the predictability that I abhor. And so I enjoy.
But enough about Hellblade.
But I well done, Hug. I will tell you, I'll defend Clear Pepsi. Let's go. Who wants to go?
That's
Clear
the dumbest
Pepsi. I think
crap
you're
that's ever come out
describing
of your
water.
mouth.
That's water,
No.
right? Clear
No,
Oh,
it was
Travis probably
clear.
doesn't remember it. He was
tasted
like,
like Pepsi,
Crystal
but it was
Pepsi,
transparent.
number one.
It was like it
Crystal.
looked like Sprite, but it was tasted
it was
like
Pepsi without the coloring added. That's all it was, Travis.
It was Crystal Pepsi.
Whoa,
It was
that
Clear Pepsi.
sounds trippy.
Yeah, it tasted the exact same. It just
It
didn't
was
have the
trippy.
shit coloring in it. Like,
Well, then I
great.
can't
was
support
the
it because it
California
still
Pepsi.
tastes like Pepsi. But
I don't taste things based on. Never mind. That was gonna be a terrible sentence.
I can't
Gonna go-
change
let
these
that one go.
things based on color. I know exactly what you're gonna say. Dude, can we boot him like we booted that other guy?
Yeah, he's out.
Ainge, you get my email back. I don't know what that's referring to. I don't
So
check
no.
your email.
No, I do check
So
my email.
clearly, he didn't get your email. It's lost.
Yeah,
in
Don,
the
if you did
mail.
send me an email, send another one.
Check your spam
Because
folder.
yeah, if you did send it to any of the SG emails, it is showcase season. It is ungodly right now. Like you literally can't keep up with it. So if you did
Maybe.
send something, DM me or something, and we'll get to it.
Maybe he didn't send you an email at all. Maybe he's
Yeah,
Don
maybe.
lying heart.
Sid,
All
thank you,
right,
Don.
Sid coming in to save us. What's a better hardware showcase, Hellblade or Astrobot?
I think the answer to that is clear, but I'm going to make it more specific. It's Astrobot because Hellblade is played on the PC as well as the Xbox Series boxes. Hellblade is very impressive graphically, but Astrobot is specifically showing off things like the controller. So it's Astrobot.
I will actually agree with Hogue because Hellblade, to his point, is a showcase of the engine, not the hardware. Astrobot is an actual showcase of hardware.
Another violent agreement on the SG Bitcast.
Sid just rapid fire on us here.
Man, just 100 rupee in it out of his butt here. Let's see.
Gotta
Erdtree
get those
will
rupees.
be like a blood and wine situation, if not bigger. The narrative scope is
Erdtree's
insane.
coming for Blood and Wine's throne.
It's not going
coming
to get
for
it because it costs too much compared to Blood and Wine.
It's
But
coming for it. No one
I hope
cares
it's
about
great.
cost.
No one
No one
cares
cares.
about cost. That is
Nope.
a
no, I think Blood and Wine
survey
got
says. No. Oh, looks like they do care more than anything. Okay.
I just got the big red X on my screen.
I do think that the Blood and Wine got a lot of extra positivity because of how cheaply it was sold.
Blood and Wine was $20.
It was
30?
a package with Blood and Wine and I'm forgetting the
Hearts of
first
Stone.
one. Hearts of Stone. For I think it was 20 total or 25 total maybe.
No.
I think
I
it was
think
like
so.
40 for both. So it would be 20
Yeah, I
for-
think they were 20 each, if I recall.
Hmm.
Double check, but I don't think it was that cheap, Hogue. I don't. Blood and Wine, or excuse me, Shadow is $40. I will say that. So
yeah, it's
yes,
priced
so
like a little game.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
priced like a little.
But it's coming for the throne. You watch. Sid, back again.
Another Sid. Hogue. FromSoft narratives are not designed for the individual. They are for the community to unravel. That's the best way I can put it. Yeah, it sounds terrible to me.
Both packs available for $24.99.
Dang.
Today.
Oh, it's cheap.
No, back
The
then.
season pass is probably what you bought. And it was probably
That is
cheaper.
a hell of a deal. I'll give you that. I didn't remember it being that cheap. That's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Because
Yeah.
that's like years
about
of
that.
development for $25.
Point
Wow.
Hogue.
Yeah, Hogue remembered correctly. He got it.
I just remembered it was hella cheap, like way less than it should have been.
I love
Yeah.
that you said hella. Let's keep that energy.
I'm vibing with that, Hogue. I like that, Hogue.
Here's the problem I have with Sid's comment here, though. Like, and I've talked to folks about this. I know people play this way, but I don't want to have the Reddit page open.
Well,
I don't want to have a Discord
you,
that
Yeah,
discusses
it's
these things.
stupid.
you don't have to. I would say there is enjoyment if you enjoy that sort of thing. There is definitely that community there to enjoy the collective lore unboxing, if you will. You don't have to. You just have to pay attention, and you do read a lot more than you do in other games. It's connected in a very different way.
I
you
love
just say-
reading. I
did
read
you
the
just-
lore. I read the plaques in the division. I love reading.
So do I.
Did you just say lore unboxing? I just want to be real clear for a second.
You're not
I-
adding
I-
anything helpful other than quips in the past 20
look,
minutes, sir.
I just want to make sure I didn't dream it. That you said lore unboxing.
I love when we get to near the end of the show, Travis just unravels.
Dude, you can't make me sit for 3 hours and not expect me to slip into madness. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, anyway, but I mean, Sid's right. You could definitely do it that way. And there's, as we know, there's a huge community around that. I think to the point I was making earlier, that's how Vadi got famous, because he makes deep videos of all the stuff that goes on in these games.
There's some
and
of that
Elden
in the
Ring-
Destiny community, isn't there, Travis?
There
There's
is.
some, like
Yeah.
YouTubers.
Yes, there's a ton of it, and I would say that it is there to supplant and not supplement a bad story told in the game. Unfortunately.
Well, that's the risk I always feel with the community, which is like, yes, it's like that English teacher you had in high school that interprets everything sexually or interprets it in a weird way. That's what I worry about, just the community saying, oh, well, the apple is gold because it stands for, I don't know.
Yeah.
Enmity.
Yeah.
the innocence of the youth.
I like that you went sexually first there, Hogue. Bravo, sir.
Yeah. Let's keep that up. If hella sexually, let's keep that going. That's my director's
Cursing?
note.
Didn't he
And
curse early?
action.
Yeah.
I'll do my
Sid,
best.
thank you. Sid,
I
thank you.
played
for
too
the
much
super
Monster
chats.
Prom.
That's right, dude. When we were young and unafraid. Am I right, Hogue?
Yeah, no, I love that series.
It's great. Look at this. We got Hogue into dating sims. We can do anything, guys, if we put our mind and other body parts to it.
Well, I primarily play Monster Road Trip, which is not much of a dating sim, but I really
isn't.
like the writing.
You just got to bang those balls together. We can accomplish it all. So that's it.
Two?
I don't know how you're doing it, but okay.
Well, you see, never mind. Anyway, let's go before we go too far off the rails. That's going to wrap us up for this Bitcast. Just a reminder. So next week I will be away with some family stuff going on. We will still have Bitcast. Hogue, you are on deck, my friend. You still have the admin capabilities. We'll talk offline about the kind of guest or fill in for me, if you will. But yeah, still expect Bitcast like normal next week.
I'll do my best. The last ending that I was in charge of didn't go super great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
If you haven't
Showcase
watched that short,
me.
by the way, on our channel, the comedic timing of that couldn't have been planned any better. So
Oh, I died.
It was me trying to
Great.
hit buttons to close the show.
I have renamed them since then, but I may switch them up this week.
Oh,
just
good.
to
New
see what we
name.
can
Oh,
come
just
up
to
with.
confuse him.
Just to see what we can come up with. But anyway, on the season game of the house, a lot of reviews. So Hellblade, obviously, we've talked a lot about. Sard did her first review. She put up a review of Cozy Grove.
Congratulations,
Great game.
Sardanisms. Cozy Grove is awesome.
Your review is a little late, but other than that,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
great game.
Well, the great thing about Sard that we've talked about since she came over is, she enjoys those types of things, which we don't really have anyone on previously, right? So
Cozy
she
games?
asked, yeah. So she asked, like, can I review Cozy Grove? I said, absolutely, go for it. So
Woman after my own heart.
Yeah, it's good. We're gonna have a preview too of Gray Zone Warfare. So shout out to my man Rick over there at Madfinger Games. Gray Zone Warfare. Zach was playing recently, and it's this realistic kind of warfare shooter. We also have a review of a little indie game called Dread Delusion, which Ray has been tackling. It was in early access for a few weeks. It went to the 1.0 version early last week, I believe. So we'll have that up as well, and we will have Killer Clowns thoughts from Zach as well. So a lot of new stuff.
Not about the game, just about Killer Clowns.
Just about Killer Clowns, yes, actual serial killers and the history of that happening in various areas around San Francisco. Hey, Travis, what do you? And I will see.
We don't have serial killers here. Right? We got lots of problems, but don't put that on.
Wasn't the Zodiac killer in San Francisco?
Guys, that's how long am I going to have to? That was when you lived here, right? Coincidence.
My parents, when they lived there, yes, it was. They do remember it.
Interesting.
Yeah. My dad was never caught. So
maybe we should be looking in KC or somewhere. Anyway.
I will not be here for a couple weeks. Like I said, I'm out next week with family stuff. The following week is Showcase Weekend. I'll be in LA. Look for a lot of coverage on the Season Gaming side and from me in that. And then obviously when we come back the week after that Sunday, we will have a special episode to kind of cover everything that was shown and debuted and everything else. Maybe we'll have a couple guests with us as well. So stay tuned for that one. Travis, I'll throw it to you first this week. What you got happening, my friend?
This week, I've got my review of Disney Dreamlight Valley in 2024. I've got my review of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. And you can look for that. That's going to be a review in progress tomorrow. And then once the game's out, I'll play some more and slap my final score on it. So that'll be fun. And then I've got some previews I cannot talk about at all that I'll be able to talk about in the middle of next week. So there's that. And aside from that, I'll see you next week. Sorry for ruining the show again, but that's me. Hogue.
I don't think you ruined the show at all, Travis.
How'd you ruin the show?
Just, my presence and comments.
Just a normal stuff. Yeah.
I have not been making videos for the last week or so. It's clear that I kind of have an on-off pattern right now with respect to my energy levels. But I'm hoping to make some more videos this coming week. I may even do a post-mortem on Hellblade, depending on how much I'm looking forward to getting attacked in the comments, my own channel. But please. I hope to make some videos coming up. And if you're still looking for video materials, I recommend Jenny Nicholson's review of the demise of the Galactic Star Cruiser. It was 4 hours of fun.
There you go. By the way, Planet Evan says Bitcast 295 Skull and Bones, a lore unboxing.
I can unbox the lore of Skull and Bones.
Lore unboxing. Beautiful.
That will not be this show next week. Valkus closes us with the super chat as
You're
well.
You're not going to be here.
Yeah, you don't get to decide, bro. If we want to unbox the lore of Skull and Bones, that's what we're gonna do.
I will burn this channel to the ground.
If you're serious about this, I will wear a pirate hat and a skull and crossbones necktie, both of which I own.
We'll all speak in pirate accents. It'll be a great show, folks.
Yeah.
Lord. All right, Valkus, close us out with the $5 Canadian. Get Ian Runkle as a stand-in for Ains.
My lawyer friends are deep in the weeds on the Karen Reed trial. I don't know if anybody has any time to stand in.
I don't know who Karen
No, it'll
Reed
probably. I've talked to a few people already. It'll probably be someone familiar to the crew here. That not that Ian isn't, but that is getting ready for showcase season because that's what next week. Leading up to it. So we'll see what happens this week. If anything else leaks, it usually does prior to the showcases, so we'll see what happens. But thank you, Valkus. It won't be Skull and Bones. You have my word.
You have no idea.
This channel
will
get destroyed.
Whatever guests you try to get on the show, Hogue's going to dismiss them, and he's going to put a Ubisoft employee so we can interview them about season
actually. I am. I not only am I going to Ubisoft, but I actually talked to an Ubisoft employee, and we're meeting up. One of the guys that has shared a lot of our stuff, so that'd be fun.
I can reach out to Ubisoft and be like, I am willing to give the full episode to Skull and Bones. Can you bring something on? Can you give us an exclusive?
Man. All right. As everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We had a lot of people join us today. Appreciate you sticking with us for the fun Hellblade chatter. As we always will say here, obviously Hogue and I are very different opinions on this game, and that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We value different opinions. It's no big deal. As I have said many times, we do not want to be merely an echo chamber because that's boring as hell. So anyway, thanks for the conversation. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
No place in reviews. I've always said that.
Have a good couple weeks. I will see everyone in a few weeks. These guys will be back next Sunday with No Skull and Bones, and I will see you then. Until then, enjoy your games. Oh, wait a minute. Let's start here. Oh, sorry. Enjoy your games. Have a good week. Have a good time. We'll see you then. Peace.